like to call to order the public hearing scheduled for 6:56 p.m. for February 11th, 2013 for the proposed zoning map amendment. Request to amend the zoning map from O1 to office to C1 local business. This is for 32940 Cherry Hill. Anybody wish to speak on this?
Mayor, we need to take.
Oh, I'm sorry. Take the roll, please. I'm sorry.
Yes, Mayor Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Squires. Here. Councilmember Kerwin.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch. Here. Councilmember Fetter.
Here.
Councilmember Dodge. Councilmember Jones.
Okay, again, anybody wish to speak on the zoning from O1 to C1? Okay, I'll close this public hearing at 6:57.
Excuse me, Mayor. Mr. Jones, could you lift up your mic just a little bit? A lot of times it comes from that one. No, it's not. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
The hum.
Yeah, I hear it.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the next public hearing scheduled for 6:58 p.m. on February 11, 2013 for the conditional zoning map amendment request to conditionally amend zoning maps from C2 to C3 for general business. This is for the Knights of Columbus building on Ford Road. Ms. Bettis, take the roll, please.
Mayor Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Squires. Here. Councilmember Kerwin.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch. Here. Councilmember Fetter.
Here.
Councilmember Dodge. Here. Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Okay, does anybody wish to speak on this public hearing? Okay, I'll ask one. Go ahead, sir. State your name, please.
My name's Tim Gordon, and I'm that's trying to do the rezoning on that. And I just want to know if there's any questions that anybody has for me that they may not know the answer to. I won't answer any kind of questions they have. I know there was some other.
So that'll be later when we get into the to the B agenda. Right now, it's just public comment.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll ask one more time. Anybody wish to speak? Okay, we'll close this public hearing out at 6:59. And we will move into our regular scheduled council meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. for February 11, 2013. The first order of business is our opening ceremony, which consists of the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those service members that lost their lives while defending our country. Would everybody please stand? Thank you. Please be seated. Ms. Bettis, will you take the roll, please?
Good evening, Your Honor.
Here.
Mayor Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Squires. Here. Councilmember Kerwin.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch.
Here.
Councilmember Fetter.
Here.
Councilmember Dodge.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Okay, the next item is item 4, adherence to charter and state law. I believe, Ms. Dodge, you asked us to be on the...
Yes, Mayor. I placed this item on the agenda, and first thing, Mr. Jones.
Your hands are cold.
I know, they're freezing. This has nothing to do with you as a person. You were misled in the process. You don't know the process. I don't expect you to. So this, please, this has nothing to do with you, okay? Per section 2.09C of our charter, you are the next non-elected official to be asked to serve. That is absolutely correct. However, the process to put you in the council seat did not follow our charter or state law. For these reasons, it's Jim's phone. Oh,
Excuse me.
For these reasons, I cannot in good conscience recognize you as a fellow council person, nor allow you to remain seated with this council until the process is done correctly. Mayor Walker, let me remind you that all powers of the city are vested in the council. We are here to do the people's bidding. For months, you have stated for Councilmember Cordy to do the right thing. When it came your time to do the right thing, you chose the wrong thing. With your actions from the last meeting, you have put the city at risk for lawsuits, misled the residents, and usurped the council of its voting rights. You have violated the city charter and state laws as follows. Article 2, Section 2.01, all powers shall be vested in the council. Section 2.03, the mayor shall have an equal voice and vote. Section 2.04D, voting shall be by roll call. Section 2.09A, council resignations. Section 2.09C, a vacancy in council shall be filled by appointment. Section 210, the council shall be the judge of the election and qualification of its members. Article 4, Section 4.10, members shall poise the qualifications required for elected officials, shall be appointed by the mayor subject to the approval of council. Article 5, Section 5.01, the legislative power of the city is exclusively vested in the council. All official action shall be by ordinance, resolutions, or motions. Michigan State Law 85.7, Section 7, appointive officers, terms, vacancies. Any officer appointed to fill a vacancy in any elective office shall hold such office until the next annual city election. Mr. Walker, at the last meeting of this council, you took it upon yourself to accept a resignation, determine qualifications, appoint a new member, determine the length of office, and allow a non-member to participate with voting rights. You have one vote, not 7.
Okay, I will respond to that. First off, this wasn't done in no back room. It was done out here in front of the public, on TV, in front of full council. Ms. Dodge, I believe you've been on council for 16 years. Nobody stopped me. Nobody said, let's table this. Nobody made a motion to stop me. You clapped when Mr. Jones got sworn in, and then we went about an hour-and-a-half meeting. At the end of the meeting, council comments, not one person made a comment at the end of the meeting that said, Mayor, what you did at the beginning was wrong. It's not like I did this in a back room. It was done out here in public and on TV. And the way I read it, and I talked to the city attorney beforehand, and he implied to me that I was okay to move in the direction that I moved. A vacancy on council shall be filled by the appointment of a non-elected council candidate who at the last previous general election received the highest number of votes. We all had Mr. Cordy's letter of resignation in front of us. And as soon as we receive the letter, the vacancy occurs. And the charter specifically tells us to go back to the last election. I asked Ms. Bettis, who was the next highest vote getter. She said Mike Jones. I said, is he willing to serve? She said yes. I said, swear him in, please. She swore him in. I didn't swear him in. We did it in front of everybody. So if it was a procedural error, nobody stopped me, including the city attorney. So that's my answer to that. Mr. Fetter.
Yeah, I'd like to figure in, and I'd like to answer some of your
comments about back room and people stopping you. I accept responsibility that night. I hate to use the term I'm new, but you know I am. I'd never experienced anything like that. What I want to go through is, I want to chronologically go through so that everybody can understand what has happened here. We assume because we deal with it that everybody understands, and I know there's a lot of people in the audience and at home that are confused. So I want to start at the beginning and lay everything out so you can understand how we got to this point. And what started this was, in my opinion, the mayor's total disregard of the policies and procedures set forth in our city's constitution, our charter, by the citizens of Garden City and the state of Michigan. It's one of the worst actions ever taken by a mayor that anybody in this city can ever remember. And has, as Ms. Dodge mentioned, put our city in jeopardy of possible lawsuits by having an unauthorized and illegally appointed person at this table casting a vote. Let me start at the beginning. When we got our packet the last meeting, we got a request, a council agenda form. On it, the title and description says council resignation / vacancy / appointment. When I opened it to see what it was about, it says declaration of vacancy. And it had a script. It was strange. I've never seen our motions where they were scripted before. It's telling a council person what to say. And let me give you an example. Council member number 1, Your Honor, having received a resignation letter from George Cordy. As council member this evening, I move we accept this resignation and declare his position to be vacant at this time. A rightful act. Here it is. Council member 2, support. As you know, a motion's made, a second or support is done, and there's a vote. Let me, at this point, interact this from our charter. Again, I want to repeat what Ms. Dodge said, Section 501, legislative power. The legislative power of this city is exclusively vested in the council, except as otherwise provided by law. All official action of the council shall be made by ordinance, resolution, or motion. The council shall provide for the public peace and health and for the safety of persons and property within the city. So here we are, the declaration of vacancy. We're going to accept George Cordy's resignation. There's a motion written, the support is the second thing, then there was a vote. Item number 5, determination of next highest vote getting candidate. The mayor has down here, it says, Mayor, Madam Clerk, who is the next highest vote getting candidate in our last election? And it's down here where she would reply, Michael P. Jones. Don't have a problem with that. It makes sense. There was a motion on the floor to accept the resignation. It created a vacancy. The mayor would then check with the clerk treasurer to verify who the next person, if any, would be in line. Then we have determination of availability. Again, council member 1, Your Honor, I move to receive from Michael P. Jones confirmation of his ability and willingness to serve. Council member 2, support. Third step is a vote. We accepted George's resignation. The mayor confirmed there was a qualified candidate who had willingness to serve. We accept his letter. Then the appointment of the candidate, then we would recess, he'd be sworn in. Per our charter, per the way this was laid out and given to us, the way we were all led to believe, that's exactly the way it should be. All the things we're going to go through tonight are the same way. You'll hear a motion, you'll hear discussion, you'll hear a second, there'll be a vote. It can't be any other way. No one member of this board has the authority to accept an agreement, a letter, or a commitment on behalf of the city. As I mentioned, the legislative power is vested in the council. The mayor, we have what's called a weak mayor, city manager form of government. Our mayor doesn't have as much power as we do. He cannot make a motion. I can. He cannot second a motion. I can. So if you think of what he did that night, and just because someone doesn't stop it doesn't mean it's right. He opened the meeting and he went right into it. By the time he was done, it was a minute and a half. I knew it was wrong. I didn't know what to say. Shame on me, but it doesn't make it right. Let's talk about backroom deals, shall we? Prior to the meeting, the mayor had a clandestine meeting in the conference room with members of our administration here, just to discuss the way the packet went out, from what I understand. And it was a what-if scenario. What if council says this? What if council votes this way? What happens? Can I do this? What if this happens? What comes next? He was advised on several occasions in this meeting that it has to come to the floor in the form of a motion and there has to be a vote or it's illegal. It's ironic he sits here tonight and talks about a backdoor deal. And if need be, I'll talk to the people. I don't know what was said because there were people in there that, you know, could claim certain things on attorney-client privilege, so I don't want to get into that. But he did not invite any other council people. He didn't invite me, let me put it that way, okay? I was not asked, and when I was here, he was in the meeting, and it's caught me funny because normally I'm asked to come in. I wasn't asked to come in. So yeah, there was a backdoor deal cut. I never thought of putting it that way until he brought it up tonight. Let me also go to our charter. I won't go through all 8 things as Ms. Dodge has done. Section 2.03, the mayor. Let me just highlight part of it. He shall have an equal voice and vote in the proceedings of the council, but shall have no veto power. The mayor shall preside at meetings of the council, shall be recognized as head of the city government for all ceremonial purposes, and by the governor for purposes of military law, but shall have no administrative duties. Now, there's been a big issue made by him and other people about following the charter. We've had citizens come up, and rightfully so, talk about the charter. And I know in the past, our councils have decided when they're going to follow it or not. Okay? Our charter is superseded by state law. I personally met with 2 attorneys from 2 different law firms at 2 different times with a copy of the charter and all the paperwork I gave you, and I explained the meeting. They, within minutes, came back and told me, our part of the charter, which calls for people to be inserted when there's a vacancy, if we were to have a lawsuit filed challenging Mike, Mr. Jones, from finishing a 4-year term, that goes past the date of the next general election, we would lose. Both attorneys told me flat out, as your attorney, I would not recommend you do anything than the state law which they gave me. Let me repeat one more time. It's a thick law. Any officer elected to fill a vacancy shall hold the office during the residue of the term of office in which the vacancy occurred. And any officer appointed to fill a vacancy in any elective office, shall hold such office only until the next annual city election. That's state law. That supersedes our charter. He said he deals with city, he deals with many cities. He's never seen one as antiquated as ours. I jokingly said it's been that way for 40 years. He recommended we get someone on it right away because our charter can lead to any challenges made against us, we will more than likely lose. Any challenge made against us for this fact, we will lose. That's fact. None of my opinion's been here yet. This is all fact. So what we know is the mayor has no legislative power. He's a ceremonial position only. He cannot make motions, he cannot second motions. He cannot accept any agreements or letters of agreement on behalf of the city, nor can he execute any of these. One of the attorneys told me that the spirit of our charter was killed. It wasn't done. He even somewhat addressed why I didn't have it from our attorney, and he says the attorneys call it glazing over. He said, you're being glazed over. I didn't quite ask him what it meant. I was more concerned about why I'm not getting the information. That's the way it is. What happened then was totally illegal. Another thing that was brought up is any comments Mr. Jones makes until he's properly sworn in. We have 8 council members right now, folks. Mr. Cordy's still on the books. And for all intents and purposes, the mayor illegally swore in Mr. Jones. And again, Mr. Jones, I want to relate to you. This is nothing personal. You had nothing to do with this. Okay? We cannot have 8. Any comment he makes, any vote he places is illegal. He's not protected by the limited immunity we have. If we know it and we go along with it, neither will we. Neither will we, because we know the law was violated and we're going along with it. That can lead to, I'm not saying it will, but that could lead to a legal challenge that if there's money involved, we will more than likely lose. Okay? I won't partake until Michael is properly sworn in and the service, the procedure is properly done. I want Mr. Jones to serve. Okay? I have no problem with Mr. Jones. I never have. We ran against each other and I had a sign in my yard. I don't have a problem with the gentleman. I want the charter and Michigan state law to be followed the way it's intended and the way it's written. Mr. Jones, would you be willing to serve and follow state law and serve until November 9th, 2013?
At least that long, yes.
Okay. I would like, unless there's an objection, to have the clerk treasurer give him a new letter of intent so that he can fill it out and we can go about swearing him in.
Can I just
Ms.
ask a
Lynch?
question? Because this is all new to me, and
It was to me until I took the initiative to find out.
no,
yes.
no, the piece on the Michigan election law.
Right.
You didn't give the number because
Oh,
I
I'm
haven't
sorry.
seen it. Therefore,
All right. I'm sorry, you're right. Excuse me. It is 85.7. It's called appoint of officers, semicolon terms, comma vacancies,
Okay.
section 7.
because I haven't seen it. Therefore,
And if you'd like, I'll pass this down for you.
Would you please?
It's just a printout.
Mr. Mayor?
right, you know.
Mr. Mayor, on this particular point, may I offer a comment? 85, that section of the law is the 4th Class Cities Act. It only applies to cities of a population of less than 10,000. This city is covered by the Home Rule Cities Act. So that 85.7, in my best professional opinion, does not apply to Garden City. And it states as much in section 81.1 of that. It's the first section of that act. It is the 4th Rule Cities Act. 4th Rule.
Well, I have 2 attorneys that disagree with you. I appreciate your opinion.
Thank you.
But even besides that, our charter in 8 different sections was violated. So we can argue points. We can't argue 9 of them. Okay?
I was just offered one comment.
I understand. That's what I have. if without objection from anybody, I would like to have Mr. Jones fill out a new letter of agreement using the November 9, 2013 date. I would like to have motion placed to accept George's resignation. I'd like to have a motion placed to accept Mike's acceptance and have him sworn in.
Ms. Lynch?
Okay. I am with you on many of these items because the question on this particular section, does it apply to us or not? And if it doesn't, is there another place under home rule cities that applies? Leaves a question in my mind because I don't want him to take an oath that says, I'm only going to do it until the next election. If that one doesn't apply to us, you see where I'm coming from?
I understand. Now, let me go.
Wait. So my recommendation would be to sit on that part, the swearing in piece of it, until we can properly look and see if it applies to us for the November election piece. And if it doesn't, is there something else in home rule cities that does apply to us? And when that question is answered, then I am all for re-swearing them back in. But I can't do it if this really is the wrong section.
Well, it's not.
Well, but I was just given it
Now,
tonight.
I let you talk. Let me
Well,
talk.
I wasn't done talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I was just given it tonight, so I didn't have a chance to even look at it based on, does it apply to us or not? And that's the reason I'm not comfortable swearing them in tonight. I would rather us do due diligence and do it right when we do it. Because if he says until November and it doesn't apply and he really does have the full term, I don't want that to be held against him either because, well, you said November, but it's not accurate. You see where I'm coming from?
I understand what you're
Okay.
saying. Now, let me refer to, I can't bring up what Mr. Cronin told us in closed doors, but I can bring up what another attorney told me, which was closely worded the
Okay.
same way.
Okay.
It's up to the purview of the council on how they work it. Okay? And we went through and looked at the violations the mayor committed in our charter.
Okay.
Okay? I think that's fact. That can go without argument. The argument of backdoor deals, I think I addressed that. He was aware it was wrong and he did it anyway. Okay? That's arrogance. That's knowing it's wrong and doing it anyway. Okay? That's something I never ever thought we would address here, ever in a million years. Now, based on that, knowing we have the purview to do what we want, okay? If he does not do that today, and this is not a threat, it is a fact, he cannot sit there.
And I understand.
He has to get up now and move to the audience and not come back. Now, knowing that, I would also ask the clerk who the next person in line is. I will make a motion, we offer the position to the next person in line because I'll look at that as he doesn't want to do it. I'm not willing to put it off. He said a city of 10,000. How many people are in our city?
27?
Okay.
27.6.
And Mr. Cronin said it's for cities.
It's, the
Of
name of
over
the act is the
10,000.
Fourth Class Cities Act, and it's specifically for cities smaller than Garden City.
Oh.
I apologize for
That's my
interrupting
problem.
the flow.
No,
I
that's
just want to
okay.
point it out.
So, I mean, based on what we have, based on the facts, the way it was handled, the meetings, the violation of our Constitution, our charter, I am well within my right to ask that we continue with this. And if Mr. Jones isn't prepared to do that at this point, I would ask him to sit in the audience, and I would then ask our clerk treasurer to contact, if approved by council, the next person in line who might be willing to serve to 2013, and then we'll put it on the general election.
And he has stated he's willing.
And he has stated that he will do it, so I don't
Whoa,
know.
whoa, stop. Mr. Fetter has the floor. please go through the chair, okay?
So-
One person at a time.
At this point, based on what we know, that is fact, and I haven't stated anything that isn't fact. If you need time to look into it, please take it, okay? I don't want to wait. I think we need a full council. I don't think we can afford to wait, and many of you have said that the last couple of months on how we need, let's get through this. Remember the Ford Motor Company wouldn't let me work afternoons and not show up. We need a full council. We need to get business done. That's what I want. I want him here, okay? I want him, my purview, if you will, is I want Mr. Jones to serve till the next general election, and then at that point, he or anyone else can run to finish filling the portion of Mr. Cordy's term.
Okay, hang on a minute.
Okay.
Mr. Fetter, what I'm getting from you, we're gonna take hearsay from an attorney that you talked to over our city attorney that's sitting at the table. The information
You can
got-
take it any way you want.
The information you just gave us.
You and them can take it any way you want. Mine is
I
factual.
understand, but you're one person too, and you're not running this program either. Okay,
I'm
but-
telling you what I want to do. I didn't say do it.
No,
I
but
said
you're
that's what I
saying
want to do.
You talked to some attorney, and our attorney's not correct. So, I mean, we always that sit at this table, we refer to our city attorney. Ms. Lynch?
Okay, here's the problem I have. Again, if this truly is for cities under 10,000, I think that the right thing to do would be to look at it and question, is there something in home rule cities? Because we are a home rule city. I think that is doing our due diligence. The problem that I had with the statement you made after that, because I didn't have a problem prior to it, is when you said that if he, meaning Mr. Jones, goes out to sit in the audience, that you will ask, that you will pass him by and go for the next person.
If I have the votes, yes, I will.
But that's not what our charter says. It doesn't say that there is an option to pass him by if he is the next one and he fills the qualifications. So if he goes out to the audience to sit.
All right, I'll give you that. I won't bring that up.
Okay, but if he
That's
goes
fine.
out to the audience to
That's fine.
sit,
You have a
that
point.
tells me
I can see that
he's
fact.
wanting to do it
I
right.
concede that point.
Okay.
I concede that point.
Okay.
And let's play devil's advocate that Mr. Cronin is right. It won't change my opinion of our charter and the violations and the idea that the council has the purview to do what they see fit. Okay? I don't see fit that anybody, it happens to be Mr. Jones, and it's unfortunate we have to soil the happy moment he had with his family here last time over this, but I didn't do it. That we can't put this behind us and go on. You want to put it off, that's fine. I won't ask. My opinion won't change. It won't.
Mr. Fetter?
Can I finish just one more piece?
Ms. Lynch?
The thing is, we can hold a special council meeting if we find out, and I don't think it'll take more than 48 hours max, if we find out that there is something comparable in the home rule cities that says he has the seat until the next election. It should be pretty obvious, but not being prepared, I didn't come with stuff to be able to look it up. The question that I will now have, because you just threw this in the last comment, that council has the right to do as they see fit.
I said purview.
Or the purview, okay?
Okay.
To me, it's kind of synonymous, but I gotta question that as well. I was all right with you, with the exception of checking out this piece. I don't know that council can make a decision saying, okay, he's going to fill this position only until November. Even though that's exactly what I've spoken about, saying we need to get a charter amendment that specifically says if it is more than the 2 years, that they fill the position until the next election, and then somebody runs for that seat. And I've said that out loud many times, and I know all of council with the
Well, I've
exception.
asked for a charter review for approximately a year.
Okay.
I've asked 5 or 6 times.
And I agree with you.
Bad.
However,
Not just this, but
Right.
a lot of things.
but that particular bone of contention, I don't want to say that he only serves until this, because I don't think that that's making a bad situation correct. It could be making a bad situation bad, and it would be hard to vote on that.
Well, I agree, and I don't, if you want to put it off, I agree, but let me state something here. I can almost guarantee, without Mr. Jones being involved, which he won't be in the vote, unless there's talk amongst members to convince them of the right way to do it, it's going to be a 3-3 tie, and we will never fill that seat. And it's legal.
At what point are you talking about? If Mr. Jones goes to sit in the audience?
Right. Oh, at this point, if we put it off, he can't sit there.
I agree. But I'm not understanding, if we come back and say, this doesn't fit the bill, and if we got to get a legal opinion from the Attorney General, so be
Well,
it.
I did
don't-
my due diligence. I looked into it. If some of you aren't, then let's put it off so you now have time. We can get an attorney's opinion, but I'll be honest with you, and I've always been upfront with Mr. Cronin. I've almost lost all confidence in him. After speaking with these attorneys, there's another thing we got in our packet that can't be discussed. I'm disgusted, and I feel like I'm pulling teeth sometimes to get a yes and no answer. And I know in law it isn't always that clear cut.
Right.
So if you want to put it off to get attorney opinions for further discussion in weeks to come, that's fine. I would just ask that the mayor ask Mr. Jones to please leave the council table, because we cannot afford to have him. We know that the way he was installed is wrong. I think we can all agree with that, or most of us. Okay? It was wrong. It wasn't done right. I don't care who didn't stop who or who didn't speak up. It doesn't make it right. And he knew going in it was wrong. So I don't think it's my position, but I'll do it. But I think at this point going on, if we're going to leave this to another time, we can't have Mr. Jones there.
Mr. Cronin,
Yes, Your Honor.
can I get your opinion on this?
Of course.
And
What's the,
what we should-
I mean, we've covered a lot of ground, so do we have a narrow question or even a relatively narrow question?
Should we ask Mr. Jones to leave the table?
That's council's decision, and I don't think that's appropriate for me to have an opinion on. That's not a direct legal question, because there's qualifications issues that have been touched on. If I may address process.
Okay.
And I'm listening very carefully to what Mr. Fetter said, and I appreciate you don't have any confidence in my opinion. I understand.
I'm getting to the point I said. What I'm
I understand, I understand. The motions that were in the packet for the 28th meeting, I reviewed them. I talked to Ms. Bettis about those. They were the suggested motions were the ones that have been used in the past. There's an advantage. It's not legally required to do exactly as those motions require, but there's an advantage to using it. It sounds like, and I know you were the only one that spoke, and Ms. Lynch, Mrs. Lynch, and the mayor are the only ones who have spoken, but if there's a commonality of agreement on certain basics of this process, I would ask that they be explored. If there's an agreement that the resignation by Mr. Cordy was sincere and legitimate, it was not a fraud, then I would recommend that we eat this elephant one bite at a time and accept the resignation and move to the next step. That's my first hard recommendation in terms of process, because the legal issues that I wrote down, resignation, appointment, term of office, 4th Class Cities Act, Home Rule Cities Act, you know, my best, if it's any use at all, my best recommendation in terms of process, the way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. If we narrow down the issues, and I know you've received my opinion on one of the core issues at the very end, which is the 2-year, 4-year term issue. I understand where you are on that, I do, and you understand where I'm at.
I understand.
And we can agree to disagree. But that, I think, should be gotten to, in my opinion, in terms of the process.
You did not address his question of whether Mr. Jones should be there. You addressed accepting the resignation. Accepting the resignation does not mean he has a right to sit at the council table, because we're not accepting his letter of acceptance.
Let me, if I may.
Right.
The next step of the next bite to take, as was presented in those motions, is to declare the vacancy. The next step after that, if there's no disagreement, is to recognize, for whatever term, that Mr. Jones is the candidate who has the right to the office. And if that's the case, then we get right to the core issue, in my opinion, which is the 2 years versus the 4 years, and cut through all of these other issues, which, if I understand what you're saying today, if I understand
right.
it, and to some extent what Ms. Dodge alluded to, and what Ms. Lynch alluded to, the issue as to whether Mr. Jones is next in line, setting aside some comments, is an issue that can be gotten over this evening. So if we're gonna have a legal discussion about the real core issue, we can narrow it down to what that real core issue is.
Mr. Cronin.
Yes.
A third time. Can he sit there? I know chewing off bits and pieces. I know we could accept Cordy's resignation. I know we can declare a vacancy. You've gone through the process. You haven't answered the question. Should Michael P. Jones be sitting here making comments on city business and placing votes based on the way the mayor swore him in and the charter violations he occurred? Should he be sitting there?
I did not swear anybody in.
Okay,
This
Allison.
swore him in.
Should he be sitting there?
Can I ask one question?
No.
No, it's along with your
I
question.
have a question for the attorney.
It's the same question, but just slightly different, just if you bear with me. If we agree that there is, and this is to Mr. Cronin, if we agree that, yes, there was no fraudulence, that Mr. Cordy resigned, and we agree that, yes, he's the next person in line, and he's willing to serve. If we agree on those things, because it seems like we agree on that, we might not like the process in which it's done, but if we agree with those premises, the real question is, if he hasn't been officially sworn in based on what we believe the charter says, that there should have been a motion and a second and a vote, so that piece didn't happen, can he sit at the table?
It's not only the real, it's the only question.
Well, but,
and you're reiterating what he did, and that I agree, the steps. I don't have a problem with it.
yeah.
The mayor's question, and it hasn't been answered yet, is should any resident who, I think we can agree the process was not followed correctly, be able to sit up here and make comments and take part in city business when there's an issue with the legality of
being sworn in. And
that's what I want answered.
That's why I wanted to narrow it down to the part about...
I was pretty specific when I asked him the first 2 times.
May I?
Yes.
You have to appreciate the function I serve. I'm not here to criticize council members. I'll never be here.
I'm not asking
If I may
you.
finish. If I may finish.
Yeah.
I'm not here to criticize council members. I'm here to defend what the city council does. I'm here to defend what the mayor does. You put me in a position of, I'm not a club to be used on the other council members, if I may be very blunt. My job is to defend. Now, you asked me a question, and the point is, you want me to say that what somebody here did as a council member was illegal and wrong. In public, you want the city attorney to say that.
Then
And
say you can't
I'm
comment.
telling you right now, I'm not gonna say that.
Then say you can't comment. Your answer to me was going through the process of what we should do.
It's called going forward.
All right, that's all we needed to do was for you to say that. You didn't get to that till just now. Okay?
Okay.
All right?
I could envision a position where Mr. Jones is sworn in with the agreement of everybody on this council, with the only question remaining is to what term is he sworn in? If that's helpful,
Oh, I
if it's the
understand.
least helpful.
I understand.
Instead of
I
all these other
understand.
issues.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
And I agree.
That's all I ask is that you
No,
understand.
I understand.
That's it.
And I happen to agree. Okay? It makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
What doesn't make sense at this point, going forward, because we're gonna put it off, I'd like to have him stay there. But if we're gonna put it off, I cannot continue the meeting with Mr. Jones at the table.
I understand.
You understand?
I
Okay.
understand.
I would want the mayor, or I would assume the mayor, to tell him that he would have to leave the table until we come to an agreement on the length of time. I don't have a problem with accepting George's resignation. I don't have a problem with declaring a vacancy. I don't have a problem with not accepting his letter, because it's got a date on it.
Okay,
Okay, so I'll never do that.
okay.
I don't have a problem with these other things. The process, I don't have a problem with. It's the simple date I have a problem with.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the person, the process, or anything else.
And that wasn't real clear,
Mayor?
the date part.
Mr. Kerwin, go ahead.
If I could, I think would be, like the attorney said, relatively easy. Somebody would make a motion that Mr. Cordy, that we accept his resignation. And then I guess, how would it, well, first of all, Mr. Jones would have to step aside, and then he wouldn't be eligible to vote on this, but and then ask the clerk who's the next in line, which would be Mr. Jones. And then I think what the nitty-gritty is, nobody's actually saying it, is let's get to it. Is what's the date?
Today's the
11.
No, I mean, what's the date as far as when Mr. Jones would serve, until?
That's what the debate.
That's what the debate is
Right.
about, is the date.
I mean, well, so somebody could make a motion, you or I can make a motion saying whatever it is, and it's gonna be either be voted up or down.
Well, no, she's asking, Jay Lee's asked to put it off so she can look into
November
it.
13th is it?
Ms. Lynch?
I have a question. If we went through that process, would it be agreeable to council to say, to appoint him to that position with a date, and however it should be worded properly, with a date to be determined?
Absolutely not.
Based
No,
on?
no.
Okay,
No.
that's what I wanted to know.
No.
So
No.
then, obviously, it would have to be put off, because if we can't say date to be determined based on the Attorney General's opinion or something of that nature,
Right.
then it would have to be put off,
I
because
understand your point,
I don't
but-
think either of us would really want, if it's too short, I can't agree because I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay,
Well,
it's
to make the whole thing easy, I guess somebody, I think, Mr. Federer did ask Mr. Jones, and he didn't answer clearly.
No, he did.
He did.
Would he be willing to serve until November 9th, 2013?
He said at least.
No, what's the actual answer, yes or no?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Mayor,
I can't
if
do that.
Mr. Jones was to say that he'd be willing to serve until November 9th, or whatever the exact date is, 2013, I'd be more than happy to vote for him. I have nothing against Mr. Jones either.
Ms. Lynch?
I have a problem doing that, because if we find out that he should have the longer term, somebody's gonna come back and say, but see, you swore that you'd only go until this length. And if he should have had the longer term, what recourse does he or anybody else have? That's where my problem is. That's why I offered the idea that if we say until we get the Attorney General's opinion, that's where my problem is, because there has to be recourse if that is wrong, that he gets to go past this November. He has to have recourse to claim what is rightfully what he should do.
I have no problem doing the right thing. And you're making sense, that may be the right thing. I'm not trying to hide the truth.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do what's right. And I agree with you.
How about
If
we
you'd
put the
like,
term-
let's
term-
put it off.
Yeah.
I am not for accepting his letter until we square it away. I will vote tonight to create a vacancy, and I'll acknowledge there's a vacancy.
Okay.
We can acknowledge that Mr. Jones is the next one in line to
Okay.
fill that vacancy.
Okay.
But that would be in my vote as far as it's gonna go. If upon further investigation, we find it's right and it makes sense that he fills to 15, then so be it. But again, you know, we would want to discuss it and see
That's
it.
right.
As you know, prior to the last meeting, because I spoke with you, you had no idea the mayor was going to do that. I had no idea. I was shocked. So let's try to keep the lines of communication open. Let's refer it to the Attorney General. Let's get their opinion. And let's discuss it openly at that point. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not here to rush anything through or to hide the truth or anything else. I am totally for it. So if it's contrary to what I found, I'm man enough to say I was wrong and do the right thing. So if it's all right with the other council members, we'll do that. We'll put it off. Unfortunately, we're going to be a member short, but that's fine.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize for interrupting, but may I offer a comment? I've done this business, I've been in practice for a long time, over 30 years. I'm experienced in how you get an issue before the Attorney General's office. If I may be my usual candid self, this issue, the AG's office will not accept and will not sound in on. This is a local issue. It's not an issue that they're going to see as statewide application. I would be stunned if they took it.
Okay.
My alternate suggestion is, if there are literally these locked-in positions, and I've been wrong before, I understand that. Locked-in positions in terms of whether it's a 2-year term or a 4-year term, there's a legal process to go through. Getting a judgment from a court, it's called the declaratory judgment action. Now, it would be really unusual for a city council to be so badly split that they hire 2 attorneys, and I would have to stay out of this, to go to court to say, Judge, we want a declaratory judgment as to whether the charter provision even addresses the term that the vacancy carries with it or doesn't carry with it. Could I envision that going to a court for a declaratory judgment action? Because dueling attorneys' opinions, if I may, is not as likely to be successful as a judicial remedy. If that was the case, my recommendation would be you have to make the issue right to get a judge to take a declaratory judgment action. I'm going to go back to my core premise. If the issue is the 2-year versus 4-year, Mr. Jones could be sworn in with no term designated when he's sworn in, and that issue could go to court. At least that'd be my best recommendation, assuming we don't have an agreement that there's an attorney whose opinion you can all accept, or a majority would accept, not including, if I may, Mr. Jones, because there's probably a sentiment here that he would have a conflict of interest. That's my recommendation, because I do not believe adjourning it for an AG's opinion is going to get you anywhere. I don't think so.
Mayor,
Mr. Kerwin.
that being said, if Mr. Cronin is right and they probably won't look at it, I think what he just said or meant to say, not putting words in your mouth, they're going to come back here and say, hey, you handle your own local problems. Well, I'm ready. Let's handle them. I'd be happy to make that motion when it gets to the, whatever it is, the 3rd phase. And if I could just hear from Mr. Jones himself one more time, would you be willing to serve until November 2013?
Only?
I'm asking
until
Mr.
then?
Jones.
I just wanted clarification.
Yes, I would. I still would like to hear the clarification, eventually adjudicated as to whether the term was just that long or whether it was till
Okay, that's
November
fair.
15th.
That's fair.
But I would be willing to serve until November 2013. November 5th, I believe, is the proper date, according to my colleague.
Okay.
And then one last question, I think. what is the date that you wanted to see on his letter, because he took the time to rewrite the letter? What is the date? You said you didn't like the January 21st.
Just 2013. I didn't say January 1st, I said November. No, if I
No,
said January.
she means the date of the
No, no.
letter itself.
He was talking this date, not this date. He was talking this date.
No, I'm
But
talking
he
the
didn't
date of the
say-
The
letter.
election
Oh,
date
oh,
in.
okay.
February
In our
11th.
packet that we
Gotcha.
never had a chance to discuss, there was a
Gotcha.
letter he signed.
Gotcha, wrong date. I didn't
Yeah,
know which one you
okay,
were
all right.
referring to.
All right. That's all I have.
Your Honor,
Ms. Bettis?
I just need to let you know that the election for 2013 is on the 5th.
Right.
And what's scheduled for the oath of offices to be issued for candidates elected at that office is Tuesday, November 12th.
Whichever is determined correct.
Now, Mayor, if I may,
Ms. Dodge?
since you brought the subject up that none of us said anything, I think, first of all, you kind of shocked every single one of us. I think Ms. Lynch will attest, and you hear it on camera, that I did say we have to accept a resignation by motion. I did talk to the city attorney during the recess, and all I got was up to council, and I was kind of shooed away. So I did try. Did I say point of order? No, because I was so shocked by your actions. I think both Ms. Lynch and I were both shocked. I was speechless. I didn't actually start thinking about the ramifications until I got home and could clearly think what happened and rewatch the meeting. So that is not an excuse for not following the process correctly.
Okay, I want to comment on a few comments that were made too. I go over the agenda before every meeting with the city manager. So I go in that room with him. We go over the whole packet. That's a common thing I've done since I've been mayor since '09. Secondly, on that page that you read off, it says right at the top, suggested. Okay, it said suggested. It doesn't mean we had to follow that route. And I talked with the city attorney, like I told you. I did everything out here in front of everybody. If it's wrong, we'll have to redo it. But it's obvious that we have a letter of resignation from Mr. Cordy. He did resign. There is a vacancy. And Mr. Jones is the next up. So I don't see where it's so terrible. He's the guy that's supposed to be sitting in that chair. So if it's a procedural error, we'll correct it.
Mayor, the question is, I believe Mr. Jones is supposed to be sitting in that chair also, but I don't know what the date is. I believe it should be, honestly, 2013.
Ms. Lynch?
I think the problem arises in any case that we question the charter. When it was written back in the mid-70s, and there have been some items, and we found this in ordinances too, where some items have been changed to move forward with state law or the times or whatever, and people have not realized that there are other areas that refer directly to that. Case in point, this one. Originally, it was always 2 years. Early 90s, I'm guessing because I don't know the date on it, they changed so that some were 4 years, some were 2 years. Well, as the change happened, whoever, and I can't even say who it should have been, did not go back, if that was our attorney back in the early 90s, didn't go back and say, whoops, here's another section that needs to be changed as well. So what happens is you get the ambiguity where one section says, this is the way you do it. And another section, as you read it, seems to fall silent because it says, will replace that
Obviously,
person.
somebody missed something.
Exactly.
But I'm
And
not
that
a
happens.
judge, I'm not an attorney.
Right.
But I think I've got this much common sense, and the average person on the street has as much common sense as I do.
I agree, and
Now, if this went to court,
I agree.
okay, you're gonna tell me, and this has nothing to do personally with
Right,
Mr. Jones.
right.
The person in that seat was not elected.
I agree.
And they're gonna get a longer term of office than anybody here.
I agree with you.
I mean,
I agree with you. That's not even the case. I'm just pointing the obvious that when they changed the terms, somebody missed changing that
Obviously, and that's where I
section.
think a little
And that's
common
why
sense
we're
comes in.
having the problem that we're having, because depending on how you read it, one says this and one, you're not sure why it says what it says, but that's the words that are used. And even though it might not have been intended, those are the words that sit there. And that's why I'd like to put this to rest and make a charter change in November on this particular issue, so we know it's all
the entire
corrected.
charter needs to be done.
Oh, I agree.
We need a charter commission.
I agree. It may take longer, unfortunately, than May to make all
I
of
don't know
that
why we
happen.
can't put one together now.
Right, but we only have until May to get it on the November ballot. We may have to go for
I don't
a
think that'll
small fix, that's what I'm saying, small fix for November, and then the time and the process that needs to be put in for the next time we can put it on the ballot. But that one does need to be fixed. I'm right with you on that one.
Well, if you wanna get this thing going along, on the third phase, first is Cordy resigns, second is Jones willing to serve, third is, what's the date?
Today's 11th of
Yeah.
February.
I mean, what is
Oh.
the date you'd be willing to serve until?
I
If
don't,
that
He's
is
already
until-
stated it, November 5th, he said 2013.
if it's
I would
correct.
be more than willing to make that motion.
If it's correct. If that's not the correct date, I personally, as I suggested he write, to serve until the next election on November 5th, 2013, or November 9th, 2015, once it is determined to be correct. Because without that determination, we're at odds, even though in our common sense mind, it says one thing, in the written word, it clearly states another thing, and we need to resolve that.
Who's gonna determine that?
Mr. Cronin said that we could do it with the declaration judgment issue. And if that's what it takes to determine it, then I say let's move forward with that. Because again, I don't want him to give up any rights if indeed he shouldn't have given up rights. I don't want him to put a date in there. And that's why if we need a date, I would rather both dates stating until we find out which one is right than I would a single date. Because if we choose the wrong single date,
I think we can all agree to put it off. Let's look into it further. Let's get some legal opinion. If we need to, let's hire another attorney to see whatever we need to do. Let's keep the lines of communication that have stopped, that are absolutely non-existent across the board, need to be started again. Personal feelings have to be put aside, and it has to be done for the people. We're not here for ourselves.
right.
Unlike what
I
some
agree.
other people think. We're not here for ourselves.
I agree.
We're here to do the right thing the right way. So I think we can all agree to put it on the back burner, which I think we can all agree as well, which means that we're going to go to one empty seat. And so we need to go on from there. And let's get on with our agenda. I'm getting the feeling we're talking it to death now.
Well,
Yeah, I would rather it's resolved.
I think we needed that discussion so that everybody was on the same page together. I would like to offer a motion to start the process by accepting George Cordy's letter of recommendation. And I would hope that the rest of council would agree with me, at least let's get that piece out of the way so that we know that we only have 6 legal council members, and that's out of the way.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion from council.
Can we read his letter of resignation? I think the public deserves that.
I would be happy to.
Go ahead.
Dated January 18th, 2013. Mayor and Council. I have stated from the beginning that if my job became permanent, that I would do the right thing and step down. After meeting with my employer this week, I found out that my position will become permanent. Therefore, this letter is to inform you that effective immediately, I am resigning from my position as Garden City City Council person. I would like to thank the citizens of Garden City for all their support. Sincerely, George Cordy, and it was also carbon copied to Allison Bettis, our clerk.
Any other discussion from council? From the general public? Mr. Weissel.
This has been a total farce, taking 1 hour of discussion on a matter that just common sense should prevail. And I don't believe you should accept Mr. Cordy's resignation until this is resolved. However, if I can deviate a little bit, Mayor, the city charter was written in the mid-70s. Surely the city fathers, common sense prevails that they couldn't think of this incident that happened some 45 years ago. So, the ethical thing, the common sense thing, and I have advanced this order already, is Mr. Jones knows it's a 2-year term that awaits him. All of you, put aside your stubbornness. Don't act like burros, and make the motion. Mr. Jones should say, put aside whether it's 2 or 4. It should be 2. Common sense prevails. It's ethical. It's moral. Every one of you know it. And don't go seeking more advice, spending the city's money on an issue that is already resolved for you. Don't put it off. Don't ask for anybody's opinion. Mr. Jones, I know, will step forward because he's a man of principle. He's a man of principle. And he knows he'll get my vote in November if he runs after this 2-year term is over. Do the right thing for the people. Don't spend a minute more. Don't spend another dollar. And get Mr. Jones at that table for a 2-year term, because that's what the city fathers intended to. And I commend the city attorney for trying to prevail here with some common sense in his directions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wall?
I think that's the most asinine statement I ever had heard in my life. Accept the resignation and not know what you're going to follow up with. Mrs. Lynch, I'm sorry, but you're a control freak. You don't deserve to be on that council. You should resign. You really do. Represent the people, not yourself.
Mr. Wallace, sit down.
No.
No,
You came out and said.
yeah, you're making personal
No,
attack.
I said,
No.
Mrs. Lynch, in my
Sit down.
opinion, I think. I'm not
Sit
gonna
down.
sit there, you can't, how are you gonna?
Personal
I
attacks.
can't talk.
Personal, I'm not
I
putting up
did
with
not.
it.
I said in my
You
opinion.
called her a control freak. It's name calling. I'm not putting up with this. Sit down.
I said in my personal opinion. Hey.
Anybody else? Mr. Wallace?
Buckner.
Mr. Buckner, sorry.
This could have been all avoided, sir, if you had followed the ethics of the city of White set back. You did not, and now look what we got here. You've got other cities looking in tonight and look at what we got going on in Garden City. I would say let's get a second opinion, because when I go back and I look at some of the opinions, I'm not even sure this guy is on contract, because I've been looking at some of the city meetings, trying to find out if he's still on contract. I don't know, because I can't, I'm still looking into that. But I say, let's get a second opinion. Do not accept the resignation of Cordy until we know what we're doing. We've already had one blind pig in a poke, and that was last meeting. Mayor, you messed up.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Chico?
Need my Anders?
No, just.
No, sir, I don't.
Well, Mr. Jones, welcome to the insanity. Honestly, congratulations, you know, because sooner or later you're gonna be sitting in that chair. There's no doubt in my mind. All I can say a couple more things. Been through this with the soccer club. It's a tripping point, you know, it's a matter of formality. Breathe, you guys don't do this every day, all right? So sitting here throwing grenades back and forth isn't gonna solve the problem. You know, Mayor, it's a goof, so take it. The man's resigned, he's not coming back. So it ain't gonna stop the process. Get him off the table, accept his resignation today, and in my view, Robert's rule says the position opens after you get done with your vote to accept that motion. That's when his date goes on his piece of paper that he starts. It's simple. Now, how long you guys want to go? You want to go over the morality of it and all that other neat stuff? I'm getting tired of hearing it. You know, we've been sitting out here in the audience for a while, so let's move forward. I've got other issues I want to talk about. That's why I'm here. I didn't come here to hear this part. So, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Mr. Molnar?
I wouldn't want to speak on this, but this is getting plumb ridiculous, just like y'all are up there right now. You're all playing cutthroat politics over something that's so damn simple that a 2-year-old kid could figure it out. Mr. Wyzak was right. Accept the resignation, appoint the man to the next election, and you're done with it. And this council has the authority to appoint him to the next election. They don't have to give him the 4-year term. I didn't hear the lawyer say anything that stopped you from appointing him to the election. Not one word from that lawyer did I hear. So just do it and quit playing politics. This is all politics you're playing right now. You're cutting each other's throat, and it's ridiculous. Accept his resignation that he should have given you 2 months ago to start with. I don't care if anybody likes him or don't like him. I don't really care. The man should have resigned because he knew he wasn't here and he wasn't doing the job. Accept the resignation. Appoint the man to the next election and be done with this crap. The lawyer told you could do it. Just do it. And let's go, okay?
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Ms. Bettis, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Lynch?
Oh,
Ask a question.
Go ahead.
This goes to Mr. Cronin. Did you, as the attorney, say that we can do whichever we want and appoint him to a 2-year term? And that's...
We've got this other motion on the floor right now.
Right
In
now,
this
the motion,
meeting-
the motion is right now is to accept the
I know it.
resignation.
I'm asking the question based on, and if you want to think about it,
No. At this meeting, did I say that? No. Do I agree with the resident that it's the council's call, that I can offer opinions all day long, and as all of you know, they're just opinions. Did I say that the council cannot do that? No.
okay, that's what I want to hear.
And I think, like
There's a
others
motion
have
on the
said,
floor, can we
Through
get?
the chair, through the chair.
excuse me,
Mr.
through the
Kerwin, go
chair,
ahead.
that just a touch of common sense,
Orders of the day.
in my opinion, tells me that Mr. Jones should be put on immediately until November 2013.
I agree.
There's a motion
That's-
on the floor to accept a resignation
Yeah.
first. We gotta get through this.
We gotta get, the motion on the floor is to accept the resignation. Anybody else from the audience? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Councilmember Councilmember Jones?
Abstain.
He has to abstain. Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Okay, now we have a vacancy.
We
Mr.
already
Mayor?
know who was determined the next highest vote getter, that's Mr. Jones.
Jones, and he's willing to serve.
I am.
Turn in your letter.
I'd like to-
Mayor? Excuse me.
Mr. Fetter?
No, that's right.
Mayor?
Mr. Kerwin?
Now that we know Mr. Jones is willing to serve, I want to know if he'd be willing to serve until November 2013.
Yes.
Very good.
Then make a motion.
Is that motion in
No,
order?
that's not the next one yet. Your Honor, I move to receive from Michael P. Jones confirmation of his willingness and ability to serve, and availability to serve.
Support.
So,
Support from Mr. Kerwin. Discussion from council. From the general public. Mr. Wallace, you're done for the night. When I sit you down, you're done for the night. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Cheryl Parton, I just am trying to get some clarification as to why the council is in violation of our charter. We keep hearing about the state that supersedes. I just need an understanding of why certain council members do not want to take our charter as it stands today. I totally agree, it's old, it needs to be updated, but it's on the books right now. And so why is there any question that we are not following our charter as it's written right now? I don't understand.
Thank you. Anybody else?
it's all interpretation,
Yeah,
because it doesn't state.
that's exactly what the problem is.
When everything is determined to be,
Yeah.
no,
Ms. Bettis?
it's a signature.
Thank you.
I apologize, Mayor, can you tell me who the mold maker
I
and
was,
the,
and Mr. Cohen.
Ms. Scotch and Mr. Kerwin.
and the motion is?
Determination of availability.
So,
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Abstain.
He has
I'm not
to,
even-
he
He
has
has to
to
say
abstain.
abstain.
I have to say it, and then he has to abstain. I take it you abstain, right?
Abstain.
Okay. And then Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
aye.
Mayor?
Mr. Kerwin?
I have to know, before I make a motion, the letter that Mr. Jones just wrote, I do not quite understand it. November 5th, 2013,
Right.
or November 9th, 2015, no, I won't make a motion. I ask you if you're ready to serve until November 2013,
I said yes.
and you
Said yes.
would agree to that?
Yes.
Okay, that's not what this says.
And as Ms. Lynch said, she suggested he write that on there, which he did. And I will say, Mr. Jones has been whispering in my ear, it makes common sense to serve till November 5th of 2013. That's what's right. That's what the man feels. That's it. Let's just do it.
I don't know, okay, or November 9th, 2015, and I don't, it says everything,
Whichever is determined to be correct. He left the door
who's
open.
making the determination?
If,
your motion
if council votes yes,
Well, I'll tell you what.
Then it's
I'll make
our
a motion,
determination.
And it's not gonna be what this says, though. Did you wanna change this, Mr. Jones? I will make a motion. I will make a motion that, Mr. Jones be put on the, council immediately if he is willing to serve until whatever the date, November 5th or 9th or 12th,
5th.
2013.
Ms. Bettis?
No, that is not what this, if you would like to change this, I'd be more than happy to make that motion.
Ms. Bettis?
All right, I'll make it until
My
2013.
acceptance doesn't have anything to do with how you do
Do
your
you want to
motion.
make a comment?
I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that terms that end in 2013 end on November 12th. That's all.
November 12th.
November 12th.
Okay.
The elections.
Okay, so I make a motion that Mr. Jones be placed on the city council immediately and shall serve until November 12th, 2013.
Support.
Support from Ms. Dodge, discussion from council. Ms. Lynch?
Just as a point of clarification, the letter Mr. Jones wrote isn't the motion. The letter he wrote said, I am available, and whatever you determine as correct date, I am available. That's why there's a
No, I made the motion
Yes.
to read exactly that Mr. Jones be put on the council immediately
Yes.
until November 12th, 2013, period.
Yes, and I understand that. Your question before that, when you weren't sure what the letter was, he was just stating availability. So you don't
That's
have
very
to
nice,
follow
I
the
appreciate
letter.
it. But my motion.
Yes,
says
I
we're-
understand that.
Okay.
I just,
Okay.
Any other discussion from council? From the general public? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Abstain.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye.
Now I will see.
Now we want to
And if I
reswear.
could,
Yes.
I'm sorry, if I could say one more thing to the attorney. I think, this has been discussed before, some of us have to use and get up the gumption, just do what's right, period. That's my opinion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Kerwin.
Do we have to re-swear him in?
Ms.
Yes,
Ms. Bettis, you want to swear me in again, please?
If it's council's pleasure. I, the undersigned Michael P. Jones,
I, the undersigned, Michael P. Jones,
having been duly appointed to the office of council member
having duly appointed to the office of council member
of the city of Garden City,
of the city of Garden City,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Charter of the City of Garden City,
and the Charter of the City of Garden City,
that I will endeavor
that I will endeavor
to secure and maintain
to secure and maintain
an honest and efficient administration of this office,
an honest and efficient administration of the office,
free from partisan distinction and control,
free from partisan distinction or control,
and to perform the duties of said office
and perform the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
We're going to recess for a couple minutes.
So we can all shake hands.
Lunch, whatever works for you.
Jody, do we take care of that other thing, taking the minutes out of the consent agenda?
Yes, I'm gonna do that, yes.
Okay, where am I?
Approval of agenda.
Okay, we're back. We'll go to item 5, approval of the agenda.
Mayor?
As presented. Ms. Dodge?
I'd like to remove the minutes from the consent agenda and move it to the B, but item number 1, so that we can.
Why don't you make a motion approving it with the exception of?
Well, we'll just move the, that to B.
Okay, but we
That's what
still
we've
need
done
a-
with all the consents
We
that we moved.
still need a motion though, that's why I was suggesting you make it.
What are you moving to be?
The minutes,
The regular meeting?
yeah.
Okay, that'll be B,
Can we do that B?
B8.
Can we do that B1?
You want to make it B1?
Yeah.
Move everything down?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, Okay, so we got a,
B1A, no 1.1?
So it's approval of the minutes with 10A1 being moved to 10B1.
10B1.
Is that correct?
So she's making a motion, I'll support it.
Supported by Ms. Lynch. Discussion from council. From the general public. Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Community events, do we have any tonight, Mr. City Manager?
Mr. Mayor, I had two requests, neither of which met the standards set by mayor and council, in which they required an actual event to be
Okay.
discussed.
So no events today. Comments from state and county officials. I see we have Wayne County Commissioner Richard LeBlanc. Did you wish to say anything tonight, sir?
No comments tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, no petitions, communications. We had the public hearings at the front of the meeting. Item 10, the consent agenda. I'm sorry, the A agenda.
Okay, we're at number 10.
Yeah.
Mayor?
Number 10.
I move to approve the consent agenda items A2 through 5.
Support.
Support from Ms. Dodge. Discussion from council. From the general public. Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Item B1, the minutes,
Okay.
study session.
I've asked this to be moved, and I'm glad the city attorney is here because I don't want any kind of lawsuits, be it from a resident, a business, minutes. To me, they appear to be non-minutes because we did, and again, cover your ears. We did have a non-member serving on the council and voting. So, do we ignore this and re-vote on everything? How do we correct?
If I may, Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It's the portion in italics on the first page that you're referring to?
Huh? I'm,
Yeah.
This
well,
portion?
from all the voting where,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Okay.
Because that creates a problem when we had a non-member
All-
shown as vote.
All of the votes were unanimous. Mr. Jones's vote didn't make any legal difference. And it's accurately reported what happened, which is the key. In the minutes, you accurately report what happened, even if you argue about whether it was appropriate or legal. So it was accurately reported, and if you want my best professional opinion, since they were all unanimous votes, Mr. Jones's vote did not impact anything.
With exception.
Okay,
Mayor.
Ms. Lynch?
I seconded the motion.
That's exactly. Item 13-01-012, he was the second on a motion.
Yes.
So we may have to redo that particular motion.
You could, if I may. I apologize, I don't know what was involved in the sidewalk program. I didn't pay particular attention to that. Was there a
Was letter-
contract entered into?
It was telling the county whether we wanted to put sidewalks in by City Park or not.
We decided not to.
And we decided not to.
Then there was no action taken for all intents and purposes. I don't see going back.
Okay, because we didn't tell them to do it, so there was,
There's no one relying on the
Okay.
vote, so
okay.
that's the key.
Now, by doing this, I still have a bad feeling. Do we have ourselves open to any kind of lawsuit, be it from a business, a resident, a person that just likes to watch meetings from another city? Do we open ourselves to any lawsuit by just letting these minutes stand?
Well, the
Because
minutes
I
have to-
I do not want to open us up to a lawsuit.
Of course, I don't either. The minutes have to reflect what actually happened. So I'm not going to suggest changing the minutes to reflect
No.
something that didn't in fact happen.
No.
Is there a risk of somebody filing a lawsuit? Anybody with a filing fee can file a lawsuit, and I've seen it done. Will I do my utmost, if I'm the city attorney, to defend the action of the city council? Absolutely.
Ms. Lynch?
I have one more question then. Because these are considered a draft set of minutes until they're approved.
Right.
Could we direct the clerk to put an addendum on the bottom of the minutes based on tonight's meeting to refer to the minutes of tonight for clarification, so that when you're following that paper trail, 10 years from now, it says specifically to do that?
Of course you can.
Okay.
There's no legal prohibition on putting notes,
Okay.
comments. The only thing that you have to do in the minutes, any action that's taken, you have to record it in the minutes. You can be pretty brief, as long as the action is showing you've complied with the state law
So
requirements.
let's just say like it is and put a note on it.
Put an
Sure.
addendum on the bottom of it? So would that be a motion, or do we just do nothing with the minutes and Ms. Bettis brings them back the next time?
What do you want the note to say?
Yeah.
To refer to the minutes of tonight's date for further clarification, unless there's something better.
Then you can, as far as I'm concerned, you can approve the minutes with that stipulation, just
Okay.
like you would say a correction.
Okay?
Is that okay?
So you guys want to move it to C like that? You guys okay with moving to C
Yep.
like that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, next item is zoning map amendment, which was subject of one of our public hearings tonight.
Because I want to speak on that one. Let me get the paper in front of me.
Mayor, while Ms. Lynch is looking for the paper, again, I have not changed my opinion on this. This has come to us, this is the third time. The first time it was where the gas station wanted to buy the doctor's office, and we said, absolutely not, that's right next to a resident. You have to have that softer zoning area. The next time it came to us from the owner just saying, would you rezone? Same exact thing that he's saying this time. Again, I say, you know what, per all the council rules that I have read, Ms. Lynch is aware of these same things. Once an item comes before us, unless there is a drastic change, it cannot come again. Now, if this gentleman had a business that was interested, but we have been told that there's not, then you know what, I would look at a zoning change depending on the type of business, or a conditional zoning, because then there are some things that can be done. But just to rezone it for the sake of rezoning it, there's not anybody interested, I can't do it. Plus, it's come before us the exact same thing before. I just cannot do it.
Ms. Wright?
I agree with Mrs. Dodge, but I was wavering a bit because I take to heart that he has a building that he doesn't seem to be able to rent. So last week, I pulled into the parking lot of that business and parked my car in a spot and sat there and took it all in. There are 8 total spots, and if 7 people pulled in, the 8th one is a handicap spot. It would be hard to maneuver to get in and out of that parking lot. That being said, I looked at all the list of items that it could be, what could be practical, and the most practical to me was a store. Well, a store.
Okay.
As I look at it as being a store, it doesn't say what kind of store, it just says store. If they wanted to make it a party store, there is no place for the truck that has supplies to pull in and drop off items. If it were a small little antique store, yeah, there's a little bit of plausibility there that it could do that. So I think what's also driving this is the parking area. It doesn't have any other place for people to go to drop off, and I know that's one of the requirements that we make all of our businesses go through. Where's the loading dock? Where's this? Where's that? There isn't anything to make that a store. And if we just blanketly say it's going to be a C2, it doesn't meet the requirements of a store. That's where I have my problem, and I can't agree to change it because of that.
There's a couple of other things in McKenna's letter. First of all, if you read number 1, the basic intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance is to provide regulations and restrictions on the use of land and structures for the purpose of promoting and protecting the public health, safety, and general welfare of the residents, they come first, of Garden City, blah, 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 blah. But if you get into that letter number 3, have the conditions changed since the zoning ordinance was adopted? They say no changes, justifications apply, that none. Number 4, will the amendment correct inadequate situation created by the zoning ordinance? First word is no. So, I mean, I look at those things, we're not doing anything. They can't, it's not the zoning, it's the size of the property.
Yes.
It is such a tiny, a house would be hard fit to be built there. It's such a tiny piece of property. That's what the problem is with putting a business in this place.
Ms. Goyer?
I know some years back, they had a little, like knick-knack store that was in there. And that was fine, because it wasn't, there wasn't a lot of traffic in and out. But it is very, very small, as Mrs. Lynch said. And I agree with Mrs. Dodge, I would, a conditional one for something smaller. But there's no room for any type of business that would be a real moneymaker for the owner. I don't see. Thank you.
Mr. Fetter?
Yeah, everyone's made some good points, but we're forgetting the biggest one. This is a vacant building, has been a vacant building, and might continue, unfortunately, to be a vacant building. A person owns this building and is having to sink money in it, and at a point, they're gonna walk. They're not gonna keep it. By changing the zoning, I think we're handicapping the individual by not considering changing it, whether there's been a major change or not. As Ms. Lynch said, there's no place for a delivery truck of any kind to back up to a ramp. It's basically 8 spaces in a small building. Evidently, the owner cannot find a person to rent based on the size, maybe the location, the lot. I'm sure there's many things that the owners come across. I think by allowing a limited change on this, it will open it up to more types of businesses. Would we have to worry about it being a liquor store? I doubt it. There's nowhere for a truck to park. Could it, would it be a tool and die shop? No. From what I can tell, and I sat in a lot, it looked like an office. It looked like it would be some kind of office, maybe a retail type shop, which would help benefit the community, because we have enough liquor stores and gas stations, God only knows. So do I want to continue handicapping somebody who wants to do business in our city, who needs a little help, that needs to attract? If someone comes in to talk to them, and I've never rented anything before, I've never had to rent out property, but I would imagine if someone comes in and shows interest, he's going to have to say, well, it's not allowed by ordinance, I got to go to City Hall to get it. Then they got to go to the appropriate department, and then they have to look at it. Then it comes to us, and then we can send it back. By the time the process finishes, that person is already in another store and is making money. And this poor individual that owns the building is out again. I think we have a recommendation to allow it. It was unanimous. I've said it before, we have to take the word of some of these committee members and these committees. I think we should allow it on a temporary basis, as I understand we can do. If it changes hands, it would revert back, from what I understand.
They have to change that.
Not on this one?
This
Well,
is changing the zoning period.
I would vote to change it. I don't know what kind of offers the landlord is getting, but it has been vacant a long time, folks.
I agree.
And I'm telling you, blight is an eyesore no one will get over. For the sake of having a business we may or may not want that's willing to pay rent and blacktop the lot and fix the roof and put flowers in the flower box, I think we should take the recommendation and approve it.
Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want particularly Councilmember Dodge, because she has, I believe, a concern that we haven't been told what's going to go in there. We have an idea. I don't know that it would be appropriate for me to disclose specifically what that is while he, the landlord, and the prospective business owner continue some negotiations and discussions. But I can tell you that the business under consideration is a low impact, low traffic business. However, nothing that you have before you will guarantee that it stays that way. That's because right. Once we let this one loose and turn it into a C1, then anything that fits C1. Of course, the parking does limit what can go in there. And I don't know, Ms. Draxler, whether you have anything else you might want to add to this.
Ms. Draxler, you want to come up, or somebody from the Planning Commission?
Well, can I ask the chief, what is, I mean, because they want to go from O1 to C1. O1 is the lowest impact, and it includes office buildings, technical schools, electronic data processing, computer centers, financial institutions without drive-through facilities, even though I don't see that accommodating that. Medical offices or clinics, public utility offices, libraries, museums, and accessory structures and uses incidental to the above. C1, let's see, the only difference are newspaper distribution stations, personal service establishments, private clubs, private utility offices, oh, I think that's the same thing as up there. Retail stores, which is the big one because they don't have the room. If there is an interested party, we've got one on the agenda tonight that we are going to conditionally change the zoning to fit that specific business. So if this owner is working with somebody, why didn't we go down that road? That would be the more, that would be the smarter road. That.
If I may.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
I'm sorry. This is what's under consideration, the last I heard. Fits retail outlet, but it's a sort of retail outlet that would have minimal vehicular traffic at it. So, and I'll let Mr. I don't want council to think I'm playing games here. I just feel uncomfortable disclosing what their business plan is at this point because it could impact negotiations.
Right.
And to support what Chief Neary is stating, you cannot make a decision to rezone based on someone's stated conditions or idea of what they're going to put into the property. Under the straight rezoning process, you need to consider all of the permitted uses in that zoning district. So your decision tonight should be based on what the zoning ordinance allows as a permitted use. That said, as a number of you have stated tonight, there are obvious constraints on the site that we would pick up in the review process for a commercial certificate of occupancy, for example. So the intensity of a commercial use, even if it's permitted in the C1, the intensity of the use will be somewhat constrained because of those site constraints. So we have the ability when we're reviewing an application for a commercial certificate of occupancy to say, no, per the zoning ordinance requirements, there aren't enough parking spaces for a, let's say,
a dollar store.
For a dollar store or a grocery store or something that creates that much traffic and which has higher parking requirements. Dry goods, notions, books, stationery, video cassette rentals, bicycles, flowers, things of that nature. There may be, less parking required under the zoning ordinance. The second point I wanted to make is to clarify in the conditional rezoning option that some of you have discussed. Per the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, the city is not allowed to initiate a conditional rezoning. You know, a property owner or an applicant with the property owner's permission is the only one that's able to bring that option forward. So you have one straight rezoning tonight and one conditional rezoning to consider. But I just wanted to make clear that while it does seem like a practical application, to my knowledge, the property owner hasn't brought forth any conditions under which they would offer the property to be rezoned.
Okay. I want to make a couple comments. We should be trying to promote business. This gentleman, whoever owns this building, is paying taxes on a building that he cannot rent, and we need to take that into consideration. And we do need to listen to our boards and our commissions. I mean, why do we have them if we're not going to listen to them? This went before the planning commission, they've had meetings, they had public hearing. If the planning commission is recommending that we go to this, we need to listen to them, or why do we have them if we're gonna kill them at the table all the time? Planning commission has looked into this a lot more than we have, and they're recommending that we changed from 01, so that's just my comment.
Mayor?
Mr. Kerwin?
Sir, how does that work? I believe this is probably 12, 14, 15 years ago. I think I was on the planning commission when it came before council, I believe, but isn't there something that says unless there's some type of a major change that it couldn't come back again? Or not necessarily? I know it's been a while ago, so maybe nobody realized that.
Yeah, you know, since I've been advising the city, beginning in late 2005, I do not believe that this site has been the subject of a rezoning request. Since that time, you did adopt a new master plan that shows the future land use of this particular parcel as neighborhood commercial, which aligns with the C1 zoning designation. So your most recent, you know, land development policy document, the master plan, you know, which you should be using to evaluate rezoning requests, it does support this rezoning request.
Thank you.
Ms. Squires?
So what you're saying in essence is that you do have some control over what would go in there. If somebody, if they wanted to bring something that was ridiculous in there, that
yeah, a more intense use would not be able to be accommodated on the site, and it's hard to, you know, really get down to the nuts and bolts of a particular use without a formal application. But because of the parking limitations, we, you know, were able to respond appropriately to the size and scale of the site, and also to bring it further into compliance with today's standards, like, you know, maybe the way the parking lot is striped, or a screening from residential properties, or what have you.
Okay, let me put this to you, because the gas station has been involved in the past.
Okay.
And it was they wanted to extend their bays to do auto repair. That was the first time it came before us, and that was in the very early 90s. And then, Mr. Kerwin, you are speaking of the second time it came to us. Let's say we rezone it, and the owner of the property now sells it to the gas station, and they tear the building down and extend their retail. High impact, that corner gets a lot of traffic in and out of there. What is there for protection of the residents?
That would actually be an expansion of a special use under C3. The gas station is only allowed in the C3 district, so they would not be able to just take over a site that's zoned C1 just because they
even if they just put
property.
Retail in there.
Because we would be able to strongly argue that that's an expansion of the special use, because it's you know, a critical element of the gas station operation, and we would require them to go through to submit a C3 rezoning application.
And I bet you it would be approved.
Mayor, I have another question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Drexler. And it doesn't exactly involve this, but I didn't quite understand. If I was to come into the city and say, I don't know what's going on, I'm thinking about that building, couldn't you recommend a spot zoning to me?
Are you referring to a conditional
Or
rezoning?
conditional? Yeah, I mean, could you do that?
I mean, we can say there's a tool out there, take a look at it, but we're not allowed to say that, you know, we believe that a board or commission would consider if you told them you would do this in exchange for this reason. You know, we don't want to steer anyone. We can let them know it's available, but that's where it.
Thank you.
Ms. Lynch?
Okay, as we're looking at protections and the fact that the department can say what can go in based on intensity, as it's zoned right now in 01, we've heard that a store has been in there and a store is not permitted in 01. Therefore, my question would be, what real protection is there for the residents because if they've already had a store there that wasn't permitted, this particular one may work out, and it may be a good thing. But then once it leaves, what protection do the residents have that a more intense store is not going to go in against what would be rightfully the wishes of?
The protections you have are written into the zoning ordinance, and the faith and responsibilities that you charge your community development department with.
Okay.
In administering these
Let me
codes
put
and ordinances.
Mrs. Lynch's question just a little bit differently, because I understand where she's going with this, because somebody has been in there already, retail, that shouldn't have been. So they were violating the zoning ordinance. I'm a business, I come in, I make my deal with the landlord, I open up my store. That's it. It's zoned the right, but I don't go before the planning commission. I mean, we do see that.
Yeah, the city requires business licenses and valid certificates of occupancy in order to be a lawfully established business. So, you know, if the city gets word that there's a business operating that doesn't have a business license or a certificate of occupancy, then we send the code enforcement officer, I believe, out to look at the operation and begin the enforcement activities, and we can shut them down and refer them to our department to start the process.
Because we actually did have a business that went in the DDA that wasn't permitted. It was not permitted in the DDA, and we went through all those hoops and they stayed. So I don't want, considering this is right next to homes, I don't want, I'm fine leaving it the 01, which is very soft impact. It's the property size, I think that's the problem, renting that out. I don't think it has anything to do with the location. It's the size of the property. It is minuscule. Because there's no added protections, and if the owner does have somebody that's looking at it, suggest that there's another tool out there, and that way we can protect the business owner and get it rented, a business going in there, but we can also protect the future of what happens on the site for the residents. Sure. That to me is, you know, you still work with the business owner and you help them. I mean, we can't tell them this is there unless they're watching the meeting, then they should get this information pretty quickly.
But the first hour and 20 minutes.
To me, I mean, you know, when you guys say amendment, correction, inadequate situation, where you guys say absolutely no, there isn't one, then why are we doing it? It's the property. It's not. Yeah. It is. It's the property. I don't think it really is.
Okay. How many want to move this to C?
I do.
How many? All right, we got majority. We're going to move it to C. Okay, item 2, conditional zoning map.
C.
C?
Yes.
Item 3, poverty exemption guidelines.
C.
C. Item 4, purchase service agreement, municipal employees retirement system.
C.
C. Item 5, RFP legal services.
I asked for this to be on the agenda, and this just stays in tune with our council goals, because we said we were going to go through all of our contracts, and I know it's a bad night for it, but we haven't, how long have we been with this one?
About 8 years.
Yeah, so.
This one?
Okay, just piggybacking on what Mrs. Dodge said. I don't think we have formally gone through all of our contracts, because there's one a little more glaring to me that we've had since, I believe it's 1996 was the last time an RFP went out. And no offense, McKenna.
Yeah.
That's the last time an RFP went out, and
Bring it up too. Yeah. It goes with our, no, you're right, it goes with our agenda for this council.
so maybe, and I don't know, if we took the list of contracts and anything that hasn't been gone through in X amount of time, and we pick a number, and we bring up one motion so that no one feels attacked and no one feels slighted, even though, you know.
No, I think that would be putting too much on administration and
Yeah.
staff to put all those
No,
RFPs
just-
together at one time.
I'm not
It's-
saying put all the RFPs together at one time, to give direction that these are the ones we will.
Notify us what the dates are.
That's right, and we will be going through all of those.
Well, if I recall, Mr. Cordy had asked for that and
Yeah, we
never
got
got
one.
that.
I
So,
have it at home.
yeah.
I know,
it's-
but to formally, as a council,
So should I ask
give direction for all of these within the next X amount of time, we will get RFPs, because I look at this one at 8 years and look at the other one since 1996, and it
Excuse me,
just
but
seems to me
we
one
have-
should
you
come
didn't
before
mean-
the other.
We don't want an RFP, all of them, I mean, at the same.
No, no, no,
No.
no, but to all of them at the same time,
Right.
say, these are the ones
then
we're
we'll pick- yeah,
identifying,
sure.
and then move forward
But
with
we have
RFPs.
recently amended McKenna's contract.
And so by the
Yeah.
time it gets to the RFP stage, July will be here, because it was a one-year contract.
But, I mean, I still want the RFP for legal services on there, but there is a discussion, we've always done it one way, and we still need to bring it up for discussion. Mr. Cronin's office, as did our last attorney, as did Ron Mack, they all controlled the prosecutions. Do we want it to, the RFP to go out that it would be for city business and prosecutions, or do we want to separate the prosecutions out? Because we did talk about that the last time. Do we want a separate contract for prosecutions and separate contract for city business? Those were the options that we had weighed last time, and we had decided just let one firm handle everything.
But it's up to us, I mean, maybe we want to.
Yeah, but it depends upon how, I mean, right now, the RFP, I think, would be with everything inclusive.
I'm not ready to make that decision right now, because I wasn't part of it.
Oh, you can get it both ways, right?
Ms. Squires?
In lieu of some of the conversation tonight, I just don't feel right going after legal services right now. I think it's personal, more so than anything else.
Well, before tonight, mind you, I had asked for this to be on the agenda. It was not intended to be personal. We have not put it out there, and that was one of our goals, and it's been battered about before so.
All right, how many
Just
want
go
to go
with
to
it.
C?
I wanted to go to C.
I do.
Steve?
Just three?
No, Mr. Jones did too.
Yeah, okay, go to C.
So I guess that means.
Number 6, comparative study of communities in Metro Detroit area that allow second meters for irrigation purposes.
Thank you, Ms. Bettis.
Is there any questions that I can answer or try to answer for council?
Oh,
I think it should be announced.
you want to explain your findings when you looked into it with other communities?
My attempt was just to give council as much information as possible on the subject that we could gather. We got information and gathered it from several communities, not necessarily in Wayne County, but in the Tri-County area that allowed the secondary meters. We showed the reasons that Wayne County does not give us on a wholesale basis the discount. We showed the cities that did do it, the cities that didn't do it, and why for each one. And so as a matter of policy now, it'll be council's decision as to whether that will be appropriate for Garden City.
Question, our meter size, 1 inch, 3/4, 5/8?
5/8.
5/8, so that one, okay. Because we're gonna compare apples to apples.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, let's see. I mean, Oakland County actually has a dual meter charge. Some included in the cost. Some reduce the sewer rate on the second meter. And then our billing, per cubic feet or per 1,000 gallons?
Per 1,000 gallons is a unit for us.
Is that, for us to compare, we need to look at what we offer now.
That is true.
Hang on, 1 second. We bill 1,000 gallons? I thought it was
I thought it was 740.
748.
And I apologize, you're right. You're right.
So none of these actually match how we bill then?
That is right. Ours is
Okay.
748.
A resident
Because we just gave even, and I
compared
get,
us with Westland, and Westland's,
And Westland
one
is
unit in
1,000.
Westland is
You're right.
1,000 gallons.
I
One unit in
apologize.
Garden City is 746 or 8.
Can I expand on just one more question,
Yeah,
Ms.
go for it,
Dodge?
yeah.
With these new meters, by the way, I'm so confused. I'd like to come in and spend some time with you.
of course.
Okay? When you put a meter in, do you set it to monitor 748? How do they know what we're billing at? Or how is
They're calibrated to what we bill.
we calibrate the meters before it goes on the home?
Yes.
So why did we do 748 instead of 1,000?
That was way before any of our times, I'm pretty sure. I don't know the answer to that.
We don't actually do that, that's done at the factory.
Yes, no, we don't do it ourselves, no.
So
Thank you, I'm
You
sorry.
order them and tell them what one unit's gonna equal. We want one unit to equal 746 gallons, that's what they ship us the meters.
So that's why our water bills.
Or the meters are already, the meters that we particularly ordered are already at that calibration, and we set our billing system to match that.
Okay.
So if we change to, let's say, 1,000 gallons, we would have to recalibrate all those meters. Huge expense. We'd have to probably get all new meters, right? Yeah.
That is my assumption, ma'am.
I would assume that because if we can't calibrate them ourselves.
Right. I would imagine, even when we redid the meters, we didn't change anything.
Couldn't we just use a
so
multiplier?
I don't think that's it.
This is 10 units at 746, can we just use a multiplier to convert it to, that would be the 1,000?
Randy?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
this was too late to be, came in too late to be included in your packet, I believe. You can slap me if it is there, but obviously we were asking a lot of questions of various municipalities, and one of the cities was Dearborn that we talked to. And they responded with 4 issues. One, that water sprinkling can result in runoff, infiltration, or inflow into cracked sanitary systems, along with direct flows into combined sewer areas. Water sprinkling can maintain higher groundwater levels, which in turn can lead to greater inflow and infiltration of water to be sent to treatment. Did we receive that?
Yeah, we got that.
From Dearborn?
From
I don't know about from Dearborn, but those
It was emailed to
points were
everyone
made.
because it was after the packet.
Okay.
Those points
Number
were
3,
made.
the resulting lower cost of irrigation leads to greater peak demand at water plants, pumping and distribution systems at DWSD and locally, which in turn raises the cost of all the facilities needed. And number 4, the shift of the rates results in increased cost for the sanitary portion of the bill, which in turn shifts more cost to fixed and lower income users that are more apt not to be irrigating to save money on their tight budget. So that was from an official in Dearborn who wanted to make sure it was part of council's consideration.
Mr. Fetter?
Is it possible, or am I premature, and I'm sure my colleagues will tell me, can we make this available, plus what you read, available to the public, and be copied and put on a countertop in the clerk's area, for people to come by and see what we have and the explanations and all the specifics on the way it's built and the pipe size? I mean, this gets really
We should put them on the
specific.
counter when they come in to pay the water bill.
Right. Can we put something like this together? I know it takes time, but I'll come in and do it. Honest to God, I will.
Mr.
Just
Fetter, I think
show me
this-
how to work the machine.
I think this is an easy one to put together and duplicate and make available.
With what Dearborn told us, so that they can get a good idea of what we're dealing with, and that will generate good questions and comments to us, I think, from the public who would understand this process and how it's set up.
I also believe we could get the hardworking Mr. Dan York to put this on
And
the
that,
web-
I was going to
on the
suggest
website.
that.
Okay.
Make it available.
I just know that we have a lot of foot traffic in City Hall. Our City Hall is very busy every day. I know water bills went out. I just paid mine. So this might be a good time to put together a packet and get it on the counter, because I find once people understand it, it'll debunk some of the things, as I mentioned before, they thought, but it'll create more questions they can ask me, so.
We will certainly do that. We'll also make sure something is put on the website, on cable TV saying that it's available. And I noticed that Mr. Smith isn't here tonight. We'll make sure that a copy's handled.
Do we have an idea of?
However, I already spoke to Mr. Smith because I promised that he would, and Mrs. Smith is here. And they did get the same packet as you did.
Okay, good.
Good.
Do we have a time frame like a week? Can I push you that far? Am I pushing you too far yet?
You're not assuming, as you know, Mr. York has a serious illness in his family. Assuming
No, I'm talking about paper on the countertop.
The paper is done tomorrow.
Oh, okay, that's, as far as the website, I understand there's issues there, but, and I'm not concerned about it. I don't think anyone would have a concern stopping, because we're open literally from 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday. We don't close, so I think they could come in and get it.
It'll be on the counter after we have a staff meeting tomorrow morning, so I would make noon the deadline.
Good, thank you.
And just to let the public know on this, the county has spoken, and mind you, this is from November 14th of 94, back from 1988. Supposedly, this is still in effect. Are you listening?
They recently confirmed to, I believe it was Canton, that it was still in effect.
In 1988, Wayne County Division of Public Works and Wayne County Corporate Council worked out a statement memorandum, rate policy, Division of Public Works, process water exemptions, a copy which is attached. This policy, which has not changed, does not allow exemptions for lawn sprinkling, and I'm assuming that would include the filling of pools and any kind of...
Any secondary use.
Any secondary use. Yeah. Individual communities may make their own policies on how they wish to charge their communities. But the county will not...
give us a break.
They're not going to give anybody any kind of break. And this letter still stands, so...
And I believe it was in the one that we sent you by email. It was Walmart that, who pays lots of money to, not Garden City, but other communities. And they would not do it for them as well.
Can we leave this in B for further discussion?
Yep.
Yeah, if new information is found.
All right, we'll leave it in B.
And then leave it there in case the residents come up and want to ask questions.
Okay. Item 7, city manager search. Mr. Muir, we did the background investigations on the 7th?
Mr. Mayor, as you know, I'm a candidate. I will defer to Ms. Bettis. I have tried to maintain a distance from this process.
I forgot about you. You're right.
So, as council required, we did some background searches on the candidates that you selected, the 7 candidates that you had narrowed it down to, and I believe you got all of that information distributed from you. The references are coming in as we speak, and so we will be sharing those with you as well. I did need to get some information from council as a whole in terms of what you want to do for interviews. 1 or 2 dates that you might select that will be good for the public meetings at which these interviews would be held, and what you might like those dates to be. Also, just some idea of how long the interview for each candidate would be, a half an hour, 3 days, whatever council desires. So I'll need to have that information available so that when I set up the interviews, that I'll be able to share that with the candidates. Also the location. Last time, I believe we held it at the Maplewood Center. If you guys want to do that as well, then just let me know. If you want to do it somewhere else, then tell me that as well. And then lastly, I need direction from council in terms of the out-of-town candidates.
That was going to be my question, because we didn't approach that.
Are we paying for them to come here for interviews?
I would say we can put them up room and board at a hotel, but to me, they can, in their taxes, they can pay for their airfare and car rental on their own. I would pay for them staying in a hotel. And I can get them a really good rate.
Wonder where.
Is that the
Yeah.
consensus
I
of
agree.
council?
I agree with that. They should pay their own way here, but we could put them up in a motel.
Here and home, yeah.
I would only make one change to that. Could we consider car rental? You can get a subcompact for.
We could have a staff member pick
just
them
a
up for
few
that
dollars
matter.
a day. Not that they'd know where they're going anyway.
We could
but
have a staff member pick them up, or a council person could pick them up.
Look at the look you're getting. Does the back of your neck hurt right about now? I can go. I can't. I'm an interviewer. I
Yeah,
can't pick
we
them up.
can't.
So one evening's room and board, is that what we're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be clear that I have everybody's.
And
Yeah.
council, my suggestion is that maybe we interview 4 on one night and then 3 on another night. 7 is too much, I think, in one night.
I agree.
I say we do it right here in the council chambers, but not on TV.
Okay.
I mean, if you guys are okay with that. Ms. Lynn?
I agree, the 4 and 3 or 3 and 4, that would be
Right.
easiest. I don't know time-wise, but I would think anywhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes, because that would give us enough time, and if somebody takes longer to answer, we have that 15-minute buffer. I would prefer if we checked with the Maplewood Center, with Monica Fulton, to see what nights the community room is not in use, so that we could do it there, because as a person on the other side being interviewed, this is not any way, shape, or form a comfortable situation. And we can't have them sitting up here, so then you picture putting their chair out there. It's not a comfortable interview situation. So I would like to set it up so that there's a podium with us sitting at tables, make it more interview friendly so that we can get the best interview, not the ones that might be intimidated by this setting.
Well, if they're intimidated by this setting, then they're gonna be intimidated as a city manager.
But they're
who
never
choose that type of
sitting
person.
there. They would be
They can
sitting
stand.
And if I
among.
remember the last time when we did the Maplewood Center, they didn't sit down.
No,
They
they
stood
They
up
stood.
yeah.
right at the table.
Right.
There was
Yeah.
a podium in front of it?
There
Yes,
was a podium,
Yeah.
But it was
and they
more
stood in front of us sitting at a
comfortable.
table, pretty much the same as this.
I'm fine doing it here.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
fine.
you
Either
know,
that or maybe the
I
police department.
agree with Jaylee. I mean, it's almost like you're in front of a firing squad.
Yeah.
I like the informal thing myself when you interview someone. You want to see what they're like relaxed, their personalities, I don't mind having it here, but I think she has a point of being a little more informal. I think it would go, although I've never interviewed anybody. I think it would go better myself.
That's in front of the fire squad.
Well, no, they'll be in, whoever we hire is going to be there
It'll be
fast
soon enough.
But, I mean.
Yeah, I like that.
That's fine.
I have interviewed before, and hired before, and I think that setting would be good. You know, a little bit more casual.
So we really can't pick a date then tonight because we don't know when the Maplewood Center is available, right?
I mean, there's
guess-
another option, we could always put the table from the conference room out here if there's no other room
And
available.
turn it
and
around
turn
if
it
we
and
couldn't.
do it right
Oh,
here.
that's too crowded.
No, in here. Do it in here, but
Use only the main floor is what
Well,
she
is it
said.
legal for us, once you find out dates, to email us the dates and we choose the dates? Or does that violate the Open Meetings Act?
I don't think it does.
No problem.
I mean, all we're gonna do is decide the dates and then we'll
That's
get
a-
them
that's
to
not a
where we can
policy
get it on
issue.
TV.
That's not a policy issue.
Yeah, okay, so is that all right with everybody? Can we have Allison email us?
So I'll email you tentative dates and everybody will
Yeah.
say yay or nay or.
because the out-of-towners are the ones that's gonna be the hardest one to schedule. Because when can they get flights?
Then I will be doing that this week. But generally, are we looking at in 2 weeks, as Ms. Dodge says, to give the out-of-towners time to get here, or
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3
no,
weeks?
I mean, what you
Okay.
guys wanted to have done first, the out-of-town first?
Well,
No,
when-
it's
it
okay.
depends upon when they can get flights and, you know, it's,
Given 2-week notice, they should be able to get a
Yeah.
flight.
Where did I
But
stick there?
I would go on record, it can't be before the 22nd of February.
Good, because the 21st, I mean, I've got a meeting in Trenton for the city, so
Okay.
Not
that's
before the
completely out.
21st.
22nd.
Really? You should
And that's a
go,
Friday.
Because that's when stuff happens. And you're going, we'll hire 2 or 3 of them.
I know.
No, we will.
So if council would send me an email with with any dates that are just out of the question. I've got the 22nd one here, so I'll make them after those dates, but if you will send me any, okay, this is a really bad date, Allison.
Anytime, any day,
Okay.
anywhere.
I mean, perfect would be any Mondays that we have off.
So we're going into 3 meetings.
Yeah, but we don't have very many Mondays off.
Yeah.
Is it better on
We only have
weekend?
one.
These are our council meetings.
Mr. Mayor,
That's the end of the month.
I asked Mr. Plamondon to check, because I know there are some issues with our use of the Maplewood
Right,
Center
right.
and what we're allowed and not allowed to do. Ms. Fulton has said that's fine, but she has suggested Monday through Thursday only,
Okay,
No weekend.
no weekends.
okay. So we can't do Monday, so it'd have to be Tuesday through
Unless it's a
Thursday.
Monday where we don't have a meeting.
But we have a,
Okay.
Not every,
If we need
We-
to,
But we only
if
have
you're
one
worried
Monday
about
off in the
time,
next 5.
that's okay.
the people that still
We can
have
do it that
jobs,
Monday.
Yeah.
do 2 a night, 3 nights in a row, do 3 one night, and,
Yeah.
Or if we can't get that, we could always come here.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
When are we discussing Monica's budget, by the way?
Ms. Bettis?
I'm just joking.
Very soon.
I'm just joking.
Okay, let's move on to C agenda. We'll go with C1A, the minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Fetter?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes with the added
Addendum?
addendum at the bottom of it.
Support. Support from Mr. Kerwin. Discussion from council.
I'm still not feeling
From
comfortable
the general
with this.
public. Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Fetter.
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
I'm,
Councilmember Dodge.
Nay.
Councilmember Lynch.
aye.
Councilmember Squires.
Aye.
Mayor Walker.
Aye.
Just not feeling
You-
Item
you wanna
C1, zoning map amendment.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Fetter?
I'd like a motion to amend the official zoning map of the city of Garden City. The ordinance involves the rezoning classification for a property located to the north of Cherry Hill and west of Vinoy Road. Parcel ID 35-022-99-0006-000, more commonly known as 32940 Cherry Hill Road.
Support.
Support from Mr. Kerwin. Discussion from council. From the general public.
Which building is that? Which building is that?
It's an empty building
Next to the Citgo station.
next to the gas station
Cherry,
off of
Cherry Hill and
West of
Vinoy.
Illinois.
Cherry Hill and Vinoy.
Anybody else? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Fetter.
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
I'm,
Councilmember Dodge.
Nay.
Councilmember Lynch.
Nay.
Councilmember Squires.
Aye.
Mayor Walker.
Aye. Item C2.
No,
Mr.
3.
Mayor.
3, yeah.
Mr. Fetter?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt an ordinance to conditionally amend the official zoning map of the city of Garden City.
Okay.
The ordinance involves a conditional rezoning classification from C2, community business, to C3, general business, for property identified as parcel number 35-01-01-0379-000, more commonly known as 30759 Ford Road, and to conduct a public hearing on said zoning map amendment.
Support.
I thought we
Or
just
from
had
Ms.
the
Lynn.
public hearing.
And what's the date for the public hearing?
I think we already had.
We
the-
already did that.
Yeah,
That was
That's
today.
what-
That was
Yeah.
today.
so just period after Ford Road.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion from council?
Mayor,
Ms. Dodge?
I always get a little bit confused on this one. Can we talk about the business going into the site? Or no?
Yes.
I don't think it's I don't think that area is conducive for a pawn shop. I'm sorry, my personal opinion.
For a what?
jewelry slash pawn shop, right?
Yes. That's nice of Columbus, right?
Beautiful building.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's currently the Knights of Columbus
Right.
building, and the plans are refurbished. The building's gonna look sharp if it's approved. Do we wanna bring up the planning commission to talk about it?
No.
No?
You can if you want, it's,
Okay.
you know.
All right, any other discussion from council?
Why don't you like that? Oh, it's out there. Well, that's true.
Good evening.
Go ahead, Mr.
This is a contractual rezoning, so if there's a problem along the way with what's nice about it is it goes right back to C2.
Right.
Also with this contract, there's a lot of if and do's, don'ts, times, different things, which makes it advantageous for the city.
No, I think that the planning commission chair stated that the benefits of using the conditional rezoning process. And I would also like to note that the applicant would still have to go through all the rest of the land entitlement processes associated with this particular use, which is a regulated use in the C3 district. So they would have to get approval from the zoning board of appeals, per the zoning ordinance, and also go through the site plan review process and the special land use review process, during which the planning commission can impose conditions based on the specific use.
Anybody have any questions for him?
Has everybody pulled them up online and read the articles connected with this company?
We're only talking about the change in the zoning right now, from C2 to C3. Any other question? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from council? From the general public? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Feder?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
No.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Item C3, 2013 Poverty Exemption Guideline.
Mayor,
Ms. Dodge?
I move to approve the 2013 Board of Review Guidelines for Poverty Exemption Appeals.
Support.
Support from Ms. Lynch. Discussion from council.
So that the public knows there's no change in the income levels that we have done for, I think there hasn't been any changes for the last few years, 4 or 5 maybe, 4, 3.
Maybe at least 3 or 4.
Except for levels of families that have 7 or more people. Now, did that go up or did that go down?
I think it went up.
You think it went up? So for families of 7, the combined household income may not exceed $33,800 a year. That's the only thing that's changed from previous years.
Okay. Any other discussion from council? From the general public? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Feder?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. C4 Purchase Service Credit.
Mayor?
Mayor?
Ms. Squire?
I move to approve the purchase of Municipal Employees Retirement Systems Service Credit of 11 months by Michael Tackett in accordance with the application for additional credit service dated January 11, 2013, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to this application.
Support.
Support from Ms. Lynch. Discussion from council. From the general public. Mr. Wysick?
I didn't catch the individual whose this is being done for in particular.
Michael Tackett.
Who?
Michael Tackett.
On the police department?
Police force? Police
Pardon me?
department?
He's a member of the police department?
Yeah.
And specifically, what, excuse me, what is the purpose of him getting 11 months early retirement and the cost to us?
It's not a cost to us. He's paying for it.
He's purchasing 11 months, correct,
And
Chief?
what is the purpose that the city is entertaining the idea to do?
Chief?
This allows him to move his retirement date up. This is part of the MERS system that you can purchase up to 5 years.
Yeah.
But it requires you to pay both your portion, and Ms. Bettis, I'm looking for an affirmative here, and the city's portion
Yes, sir.
in order to pick up any additional seniority time.
And usually the city would entertain it, I take, that this is not an open invitation to the entire city's forces who are covered by MERS
This is one individual.
to purchase service time in order to retire. Usually the city, and I take it that to be true in this particular case, because 11 months is not anything that would be objectionable, but, and I take it that the officer is intending to do a good purpose with it, but the city would entertain it only when it's beneficial to the city. Hopefully, and in this case, I would imagine it would be. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, this is an option open to all employees who participate in the MERS system. They're able to purchase up to 5 years, provided they pay their share and the city's share. And then they can leave early with they can leave at 20 years with a 25-year retirement.
If they purchase all 5 years.
If they purchase 5 years.
If they purchase 5 years. Mr. Tackett is simply moving a little closer to his retirement date. He presently has, I believe, 20 years with the city.
But his early retirement, he draws early retirement then, and that's a cost to the city.
No,
That
he's
would
just
be
purchasing time, he's not retiring.
Not there if he remained, or any of the people whom you say up to 5 years, stayed with the city.
I'm sorry, I must have missed something here.
There's a greater cost to the city him taking the early retirement than if he's, not him specifically, because 11 months is not a particular problem, but up to 5 years. The city certainly doesn't try to boost the people who are eligible for the 5-year limit to ask to purchase their time. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is a personal decision. I don't even know why Lieutenant Tackett's asking for this. It's a personal decision.
But as far as, is it a savings to the city or a cost to the city?
I believe it'll be neutral to the city. He's paying for his time, and even though he leaves a little bit earlier, that's paid for out of the contributions that he has put in on behalf of both himself and the city. He doesn't pick up any extra benefits whatsoever, so it's cost neutral.
But he's drawing retirement, which he would not be doing if he was working.
Right, he'd be drawing a paycheck, correct.
And that's a cost to the city.
The paycheck is a cost to the city.
Thank you.
Retirement is a cost to MERS.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Can I ask a clarification question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, I mean, I've worked with a lot of employees that have credited service. They got Army time, and then there was a program, God, back in the 70s, where they were able to purchase time for, I can't remember the specifics because I was too young. Yes, thank you. They don't have to retire if they don't want to. They're just purchasing time. This doesn't mean that they're retiring. They're just purchasing time.
I
can't imagine why anybody
They're
would do it if
entitled
they're.
to It's also a savings.
It's just,
When Mr. Tackett's a lieutenant, so you're taking lieutenant wages with 20-something years off the books, and you're gonna be hiring an entry-level police officer, which is a lot cheaper paying the new police officer than it is paying the lieutenant's wage. So that's a
There is a
savings to the city too.
Yeah.
But of course, somebody's gonna be appointed to a
Mr.
lieutenant that's currently a sergeant.
Not necessarily.
Chief, you said a key word that caught my ear. He buying those 11 months, does that boost his seniority?
No, then, well,
Well, you said it, that's why I'm asking.
okay, I'm sorry. It moves him closer to retirement.
Okay.
Yes, he's 11 months closer to retirement.
With MERS.
With MERS. He is, in terms of other seniority considerations within the police department, it doesn't change him in
That
any way.
doesn't change his status.
That's strictly with MERS.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I misspoke.
Anybody else? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Squires.
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge.
Aye.
Councilmember Fett.
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin.
Aye.
Mayor Walker.
Aye. Item C5, RFP Legal Services.
Mayor,
Ms. Dodge?
I would like to put the RFP out for legal services, including a firm to handle both city, municipal business, and the prosecutions.
So let me just make sure I understand. You want to split it?
No,
You want to do both
keep it
together?
all
Okay.
with one. It's
Thank
much
you.
easier to deal with Tim than it is to deal with 20,000 different people.
Support.
Support from Mr. Jones. Discussion from council. From the general public. Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Dodge.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter.
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch.
No.
Councilmember Kerwin.
Aye.
Councilmember Squires.
No.
Mayor Walker.
Aye. Okay, item. Oh, that's it. Okay, we will move on to public comments for items that were not on the agenda. Mr. Speaker, from state your name, Mr. Chico?
Chico.
I said Chico.
It sounded like Chico.
Chico the man.
How you guys doing?
Good, how you doing?
Oh, great.
As you can tell, I don't normally come up here. I pretty much selectively pick my dates. And I'm kind of disappointed that I haven't heard anything. I might have missed some time. I try and keep abreast of what's going on. But I haven't heard any word about the $1.4 million in water payment that we gave you guys, the city. And I've heard some kind of explaining away. I've heard some maybe we didn't get more water, or we did get more water, or just it goes on and on and on. But the definite fact is that we also have $2.8 million sitting out there in sewage fees that you also tacked on our water bills. So a total of $4.2 million is sitting on the table right now, and I'm not hearing any conversations about it. I would like to hear more about that, please. That's very important to me. I've been doing some research on the water bills, and frankly, I'm appalled at our city. And I kind of balance it to a city that has financial problems, and they're playing games with the numbers. Because I'll give you some numbers. Answer some questions earlier that you guys were talking about. The 1,000 cubic feet of water, 750 gallons. A lot of cities and municipalities convert that to 1,000 gallons. So it's 1.33 cubic, 133 cubic foot of water. So you can just playing with numbers. So they can confuse Joe Public and make sure we don't understand what you're doing as a city. Honestly, I believe if it was standardized, it'd be much easier for just a general person. So a little bit of math, you can figure out what's going on. So right now, from Garden City, I had to convert to the 1,000 gallons for water and sewage. In water, we're paying $4.62 at 1,000 gallons and $9.54 in 1,000 gallons of sewage. Okay? If you go to Northville, we're paying almost 100% more than them in sewage. You go to the nearest anybody after that, we're over $4 higher in sewage rates than everybody else. The only one that's paying more than us is Inkster. They're paying $13.94. They're paying $4 more than we are in sewage rates. So it's a financial situation. I've got a mess in my city. And I look at it from a broader sense. I got a mess in my city because I'm getting hammered. The cities are finding ways to get money as income without saying we don't have high millage rates. Okay, so we don't have high millage rates, but we've got electrical charges that are thrown at me as an extra bill I can't write off for lighting. I've got garbage rates that are thrown at me I can't write off. I'm getting nailed every year. Now what happens is that, and trust me, you can say that we don't spend city municipal workers' time on road work and bill the city water. Bull. I looked at the last city manager's report that was here last year, and he is moving supervision and management and up the percentages in it. And I've got that report at home if you need it. So the numbers have been manipulated as far as who's getting billed where and what. And the water is getting hammered for it. And so my whole argument here is that I, talk to you, Randy, please don't mind that I'm raising my voice, I'm getting mad at you, I'm just getting mad at the situation. Because I paid, in my last summer bill, it was $1,000 for my sewage and water. You think I flushed my toilet that many times? No. Okay, the bill before that was $800. I have a pool, I have a corner lot, I water my lawn. Going back to your argument, I don't water my lawn or run my pool when we have runoff times, when it's raining out or when the thaw is going on. It's not going into the system because my sewer's been separated. So now my separated sewer is just going out into the River Rouge system. Okay? It would be a problem if I was running it during the rain and I was upping that whole system up, and it would be a big issue. It's not. You can get all the talking points you want of why you shouldn't separate the sewer systems. It comes down to one simple fact: money. And right now you guys are playing with my money. I want my money back, or I would like to get it appropriately funded so that way you guys can fix this problem you have. Is called a budget. Because right now the budget in my mind is a total nightmare because I am not getting write-offs when I should be getting them. Now maybe in a few more years, maybe I'll have my house paid off, which I will. Maybe I won't be here. You guys got to start looking at that, you know. I got some money, I got income. There's other people that don't, but I'm still here. You want me to stay here?
30 seconds.
Thank you. If you want me to stay in this city, let's get this fixed. And I don't want to run for council to fix it. Hopefully you guys will do it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
I'm Sylvia Smith, and I just want to say that I do commend that young man that just left this podium, because I haven't done all of the math, but I work with some very intelligent people that lives in some very affluent neighbor around this tripod metropolitan area, and they are not paying the type of money that I am paying for my water bill. I second exactly what he just said to me. My last water bill was $1,000. The one before that was $800. I haven't done the math like he has, but I talk to people every single day in my walks of life that I work with every single day, and they are not paying the type of money that we are paying for water here in Garden City. I heard exactly what the chief said. I heard exactly what the council said. I am going to go home and I am going to digest the information that Mrs. Bettis sent to me. However, I really need you all to work on behalf of the citizens of Garden City, because I feel the same way that he feels. Should I put a for sale sign in my yard tomorrow? Because to be quite honest with you, I am still gainfully employed, but this water bill is totally outrageous for me to continue to afford to pay. So I just want you guys to take into consideration, I don't know what homework you guys need to do. I'm not going to do the work for you. I have a job that I have to do every single day. But I do need you all to look and to support the citizens of Garden City.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Butler.
Al Buckner. I would like to make a personal and public apology to Mr. Robert Smith and Buddy Wallace after the last meeting, as we were having a conversation on the sidewalk in front of the police department. When an older woman without a coat on approached us in a very provocative way, at first I thought surely she wouldn't be soliciting us in front of our great police station. My experience in life has told me that either she was a wax job or she was on crack. If you talk about having diarrhea of the mouth, you would have thought she was on speed, as she spoke in a loud, raspy tone, making threats to me, saying that I spoke about her that night when I didn't even get up that night. I thought I was going to have to call an officer to put a straitjacket on her. My experience in life has always been when a woman's enraged, you just give them a long, hard, stiff look with a silent treatment, and they'll blow away like the wind. Mr. Smith even mentioned, what in the world just happened? I said, it's just another strange woman without a camera. If you recall, as I said before, I did not get up that night. I just sit back and watch Walker in his calamity of errors with the Open Meeting Act and ordering Allison around like a little personal secretary. Now let me go to Walker's calamity. Walker, you give the saying, kick the can down the road, a new meaning. Come this November, the people will do some kicking of your can down the road.
All right, Mr. Buckner, sit down.
You violate the city
Mr.
charter
Buckner,
and
sit
the
down.
Open Meeting Act.
Sit down. You're done. Not gonna take no more personal attacks from you guys. You learn to talk with respect or you're gonna be sitting down a lot. Sit down. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Third water meter tank last week, talking about it blew up. Things so bad that getting a new water meter for this. I thought, oh, it would be good meter this time. That got terrible. Things so bad. It takes the meter. I have a good one, new one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bachman. Yes, sir.
Ken Myshak, Garden City. First, I always watch it on TV. The first time coming up here, was home watching it, and the thing caught the ear was the water bill. And with the water rates, I've been asking for a second water meter for about 5 years now. So I'm all for a second water meter for my irrigation system. We just need to control the water bill a little bit more, because my brothers live in Livonia and we pay a higher water rate than they do for sewage. And so if you guys could please do what you can. I hear a lot of bickering back and forth, but just trying to make ends meet. If you could, there's also, you guys have potholes. We have a nasty pothole on our corner of Merriman and Rush, right on the corner. So if somebody could please look into that, we'd greatly appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Mr. Mulder.
I'm not sure everybody else on the water bills are out too high, but I hear some disturbing quotes here about Wayne County. They don't care if you put a second one in or not, they're still going to charge you for the sewage. Yeah. I'm not too happy about that, because what happens then. And actually, I don't know, do you have to have a city manager search? I mean, you've had one, and I believe he said he's a candidate, and I think he's been on trial for a few months. So why would you bother interviewing? You know where I'm going. Just make him the city manager. He's been on trial. He's been doing the job. He's already had interviews for the last few months. So why bother? And I'm ashamed of all of you up there tonight for all that bickering and cutthroat going on earlier in the meeting. You all disgraced yourself. And you disgraced everybody in Garden City. That behind the door deals and this one doing that. Mistakes probably were made, but I don't think nobody intentionally made a mistake, or nobody was trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes up here. So y'all should be ashamed of yourself a little bit. Every one of you. I'm ashamed of you. I know it probably don't matter, but that's my opinion, and you're going to get it whether you want it or not. But you know you did. You know better than that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Weisen.
I am asking the people of Garden City to remember the following as this council heads into the heart of the year 2013 and preparation of the budget. First, it wasn't too long before since we were really concerned about 11% surplus. And many of us said that is too much in comparison and the need of this city as compared to even the other cities who carried nowhere near 11% surplus. Now we hear we have an 18% surplus, which is over $3 million surplus. Second, there's a potential for us to have another $1.3 million surplus from this water question. That's a total of almost $4.5 million surplus. And that was in spite, that money piled up in spite of the fact that we as citizens had to defeat a 12 mil proposal, to put the city, what was supposed to be, on a sound financial footing. Recall, in addition to that, the rubbish, lighting, and water assessments have been passed in the last year. $4.5 million potential surplus, and we've been paying these additional monies. There's even talk now of undergoing a huge sidewalk program. A sidewalk program. All of those things I've been related to have been done while the people of this community are in the worst personal financial condition anybody could ever hope for. The worst financial condition anybody could hope for. And they've been up here, meeting after meeting, saying, hey, we can't pay all these things. We can't pay all these things. And the reply from the table has been, we need the money. We need the money to operate on a stable plane. $4.5 million surplus. I think council, as a New Year's resolution, should recall and vow to the people tonight that until they get into a better financial position, personal, that you will be reasonable, that you will not undertake any financial cost to the city and cost to the residents and hurt them even more than you have already done over this past year and a half. And in fact, you should begin to serve this city and its residents with some of that surplus. There is no reason to carry that kind of a surplus. Check other cities. And they will not have that 18% surplus. It's a shame that you haven't put it to good purpose. In that budget, hire a new fireman. Look around at the other departments that need,
you have 30 seconds.
That need help. The firemen need somebody to make their position when they go to a fire safer. Don't cut them short. Don't cut the city short. Don't cut the people short. Be considered in every decision you make. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waxy. Anybody else? Okay.
Pat McCarge. Well, tonight I think was a example of representative government. Voting, arguing, getting something accomplished. Councilman Jones, I appreciate your willingness to go with the November date. That didn't surprise me. We're friends, And I know that you wanted to come onto the council and be a very positive member, and you started that tonight, so thank you. My biggest concern is that people know that when people come from the audience, including myself, we're not necessarily have our facts right. I've been very concerned watching programs at home, council meetings at home, and even the meeting last week. Very concerned when residents come up and accuse department heads of being a thief and being able to say that. But even more concerned is that actually Councilmember Lynch did say, hold up and say, no, see, this is part, you're not right. And I don't see that a lot from this council. When you sit back and you don't say anything, or you say, yeah, we'll study that. If you think a department head's a thief, then please get a hold with the city manager and start some investigation instead of letting the innuendo and all of that, going out to the public. And shame on the people from the audience that come up here with those innuendos without having facts. Shame on the council members who do not support their department heads. Been there, done that, and I'm just disappointed in that. Randy Walker, I'm sorry, Mayor, you made a mistake, and we know that. But I want to thank you for controlling these meetings. Let people talk. Everyone's talking the amount of time that they need to. These meetings aren't going till 1 or 2 in the morning with people saying the same thing, negative thing over and over. So thank you. And also thank you for making sure that people are not making personal attacks. I'd also like to thank the city attorney. I've had that pleasure of working with him on several occasions when I was department head, and he was always very, very helpful, cooperative, and made legalities something that I understood, and I appreciated his input tonight. I only ask the council, I'm sitting back, I'm thinking, wow, it sounds like people are trying to be bullies. Please, treat each other with respect. I don't always see that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, I'm going to edit my list down considerably here on the fly regarding for the hour. I do want to mention that DPS has been addressing a water main break at Merriman and Florence for actually a couple of weeks. And it has caused some questions to come up. Why didn't they get on it quicker? This particular water main break ran under Merriman, required coordination with the county, some special things that had to be applied because it was on a county road. In addition to that, we needed to get a leak detector from another community to make sure that we destroyed as little of the road as possible in repairing this leak. I am pleased to announce they started repair at 8 o'clock this morning, and when I drove past at 4:30, they were buttoning it up and cleaning it up. So DPS did another outstanding job. I want to warn you, because I've heard some complaints about this main break at Merriman and Maplewood. There has been a slow, relatively minor main break that DPS has been trying to diagnose. It may have been what led to some brown water at the Maplewood Community Center last week. Again, using the leak detector from Romulus, and thank you, Romulus, we've been able to identify where the leak is. DPS will move to that on Wednesday. This is going to require some major road closures there in the Maplewood and Merriman area because of where this break is. But I expect that they will get this one quickly done also. I did notice someone wrote into the Observer that we've been ignoring it. We haven't been ignoring it. We've been trying to figure out what it was and the smallest amount of damage we could do to repair this thing. I want to remind anybody who's interested that there's a public meeting on February 13th. That's Wednesday. It'll be held here in council chambers. That's for the concerned residents along Lather, south of Warren, and Bach, east of Middlebelt, for the two reconstruction programs that are planned for this spring and summer. I want to mention that our librarian, Mr. Lawrence Marble, has notified us he's submitted his resignation. I believe he departs at the end of this month for a job elsewhere. He would have been here tonight, but he was terribly ill. I also want to mention to council, just to give you a heads up at this point, the sewer TV program has discovered a major issue in the area of Dawson and Brant. We're working on just exactly what's going to be required to address it. It's going to be close to $160,000 repair that we're going to have to do on an emergency basis using Act 51 money that is there. It's available. This will all come back before council before anything is done, but I just want to let you know that this is in the hopper. I want to briefly discuss the water issue. I want the citizens to know, please keep in mind that I've been acting city manager for 5 months, and that the original intent of an acting city manager is just to keep the ship on course. I've kind of expanded on that a little. I've asked a lot of questions. I've dug in a lot of corners. I've talked to some citizens on this water issue. There are some things that are coming up that are surprising. Illegal, improper, I don't think so. But what I want to do is come up with something that is so transparent that every question is answered. As Mr. Buckner knows, I've talked to him once, and in fact, I'm hoping that Mr. Buckner and Mr. Chico will be available after this meeting to sit in my office for just a couple of minutes so I can, and Ms. Bettis, so that I can hone in on something. But this is not being ignored. I saw some sewer rates, as the mayor did, from another community, and I was a little surprised. I do understand, however, that within our rates, other things are built in, other things water-related are built into this. But I want this all to be transparent. And that's my pledge to council, that you're going to have that, even if I do not get this seat on a permanent basis, you'll have that before I get the broom, because I think it's very important. I know you all feel the same way. You're all paying the same water bills. Mr. Fetter, I know you're very passionate about this. I'm hoping to be able to lay pieces of paper out in front of you and the citizens and say, this is where every penny goes. With that in mind, I want to mention this $1.3 million that we got. Now, we sold to the citizens, but we didn't buy from Detroit, allegedly. Our first inclination when this was brought to our attention was to go to DWSD and say, are your meters accurate? Absolutely, 100%, we swear by them. Well, I can't speak for DWSD. They are doing some things now, asking some questions, probing in other communities that makes me wonder just exactly how confident they remain in their meters. I will keep, and I don't want to suggest that they've discovered their meters are faulty. They haven't said anything like that, but boy, they're poking around a lot. And I will report back to council as soon as I know anything additional on that. Finally, I need some help from council, and it's on dumpsters in this city. We passed ordinances, laws, rules regarding dumpsters and businesses. What we've done is create something that is very difficult to administer. We require certain businesses to have dumpsters that must be enclosed, but because our planning and our design throughout the years has been by committee, so it's different groups constantly, we have buildings where it's impossible to do this. It's impossible to put in a dumpster. It's impossible to, nearly impossible. It's impossible to build an enclosure, and I need some guidance from council. I am presently under the impression that council wants this enforced rigorously and wants businesses to come into compliance now. So for instance, in the case of a strip mall, if they get a new tenant, we can hold up the certificate of occupancy if the dumpster for the strip mall is not in compliance. What I have done over the course of the last several weeks is allowed a temporary certificate of occupancy so that the tenant, the business can open, and then, you know, can bring another business to Garden City, but leaving that dumpster issue out there to be addressed later on. So I guess what I'm looking for from council, my understanding is you want it vigorously enforced. I want to know if that's a fact, if that's what the city wants. I want to know if it's a matter of enforce it where it's enforceable, because you can imagine the problems that come up there. I go to one business and say, you've got the space, build your enclosure, comply with the city ordinance. They go to the next business who really doesn't have the space. Well, of course, the first business is pointing to them saying, well, they didn't have to. So this is quite a problem that we've been dealing with within the building department and administration, and I'm just looking for a little input, but some thoughts from council, and I'm not even necessarily looking for policy to be established tonight. Just maybe some questions you'd like to have answered, some suggestions you'd like to see followed, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mayor, if you don't mind, while we're on the subject, I'd like to see it vigorously enforced. If it really can't be done, you need to use a little common sense, just like we did tonight.
Thank you.
I know of 2 or 3 businesses right on Ford Road where it would probably be just about impossible. But other than that, the rest of them, I mean, where it can be done, they should be enforced.
Thank you.
Mr. Cronin, you have anything?
No, but thank you.
Ms. Dodge?
I've got a couple items. First, I had mentioned this to the mayor after the last meeting, and he did not hear it. Of course, he's more towards the middle. There was a female sitting in the audience, and of course, we know we had a packed house at the last meeting, and I have heard this voice in the past. I don't know who the person is. Last meeting, she was over here. Meetings before that, she was on the other side. We did have students in the audience. We did have a lot of Mr. Jones's family in the audience. And after one of our residents got up and spoke, I don't care if you like what they say or don't like what they say, please have decorum and don't say derogatory things, because I heard it. It was cursing. If I heard it, I know the students heard it. I don't care what you say when you leave the council chambers, but when you're in here, everybody's entitled to an opinion. We all don't agree with each other. 9 times out of 10, a lot of us disagree. However, it is their right to make comments, as long as they're not personal attacks. Those I'm just done with. It's time to grow up, everybody. But when you're in here, respect everybody. They've got a right to their opinion, just like you have a right to your opinion. And especially the swearing, please. I mean, it's just not right. I don't care if you go out in your car. I don't care if you go home and tell your family, and I don't care if you're swearing like a truck driver. But in here, you can't. If you whisper to your neighbor, what was that they said, or I don't agree, okay, we can deal with that type of thing. But other derogatory remarks, we can't deal with it. And I'm sorry, as the mayor had stated last time, if you hear it, let me know. I will let him know. Tonight there was a lot of commotion out there. Of course, there was a lot of commotion up here, so that's to be expected. But it's uncalled for. I wouldn't do it. I don't do it while they're speaking, whether I agree with them or not. And it's just something that we just don't do. And I'm sorry, I had to say something regarding that. Mm-hmm. Next to Janine Hammond, Allison informed me of, and I think she probably informed all of us, of a sudden death in her family, very unexpected death. Janine is a wonderful, wonderful employee of the city. I've known her for quite a few years by being on the council, and then our kids went to school together. So, Janine, if you need anything, let us know, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. And then to Chief Harmon, again, our condolences at the loss of your mother. It's been a lot. We've had enough. No more dying in Garden City. That's it. We need a referendum on it, especially for our staff. I mean, they've been hit the hardest lately. Then this past weekend, as you all know, I'm very involved in the POM world. This past weekend, our POM squads at the middle school, the high school, and then we do have a collegiate squad. They competed in their state championships. You want to talk about the perfect storm hitting? Well, it hit. Our middle school, state champs. Our varsity squad, state champs.
Excellent.
Our collegiate squad, state champs. So, congratulations to all those girls. The collegiate squad, it's based out of Garden City, and it picks up the community colleges, those that aren't away at different schools. And most of them are still Garden City residents that are on this squad, so I just want to clarify that. For our middle school and our varsity squad, I would like a resolution of recognition, at least on the next council agenda, so that we can say thank you very much to the girls of those teams. We've done it in the past. It would be really, really nice from our new commissioner if they could get something from the county saying, good job, girls, on becoming state champs. And then Nikki Foster is their coach. She used to be a former student and a POM girl herself. She is gotten accepted into, she's been trying to get into nursing school. That's her career. She's been working in that field. She is going to be going to school full-time. She is going to be stepping down as the head coach for our middle school and our high school. This woman has brought home so many championships. I think we need to have a resolution of recognition for the coach of these POM squads. She's brought so much to these girls. She's taught them what it means to be part of a team, taught them how to attain goals, taught them how to do time management, made them stay good students. She's just a remarkable person, and I would like that on the next agenda also, and I hope the school board, they have a Coaches Hall of Fame. I hope the school board follows our step and puts her in that Coaching Hall of Fame, because she has done marvelous things. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Mr. Jones.
Just a couple things. I would like to definitely second or support Mrs. Dodge's comments about public decorum and respect for everybody in the room. I think that to do otherwise creates a very poor image for the city when we can't even give respect to each other. And I don't think there's any excuse for that. Second, your comment about Chief Harmon. It was unfortunate that we continue to deal with these situations. If a motion is in order that no other staff members can lose a parent or a significant other, I'd certainly be willing to make that at a future meeting. Talking about recognition and resolutions, we had something in one of our packets about a young gentleman who's about to become an Eagle Scout. That is a significant achievement, and hopefully when that takes place, we can again get a resolution.
Do it now.
Okay. I would make a motion that the Garden City Council recognize Brandon Lee Plond, P-L-O-N-D, who's been determined worthy of rank of Eagle Scout on October 2nd, 2012. I think the Scout group functions out of Good Hope Lutheran Church. As I said, that's quite an achievement. I take this one kind of personal because my two oldest grandsons in Howell are both right on the edge of achieving this also, and I see how hard they've worked and all the things they do in their community.
Can I stop you real quick?
Yeah.
Second. You need a support.
Yeah, okay.
Support.
Thank you.
Support from Ms. Lynch.
Okay, now you can continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's well deserved, and we should recognize these kind of achievements, such as the POM Squad and this young gentleman.
Oh, can I say one more thing? We need to put the 13 on the signs. We're still working on the 12. Darwin didn't do that, but 13 on our city signs for our state champions.
The order was placed today for both years for the ponds.
Thank you.
Any discussion from council on it? Congratulations to them. General public? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch.
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge.
Aye.
Councilmember Feder.
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin.
Aye.
Councilmember Squires.
Aye.
Mayor Walker.
Aye.
I have just one other announcement, and that is that tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Garden City High School, the Garden City Key Club will be sponsoring their Empty Bowl Dinner. And all people are invited. It's a great function. The kids have made, last report I saw, at least 9 different soups that will be served, so you won't go away hungry even though it's an empty bowl dinner. And the funds raised from this are going to fight various hunger projects, and they've done a great job with this over the years, and I certainly urge anybody who's wants a nice meal out, not too expensive, to drop by the Garden City High School cafeteria tomorrow at 6.
How much does it cost?
I think it's 10.
I think so too.
Okay, you all set?
Yep.
Ms. Lynn?
Okay. Sometimes it almost sounds redundant as each one of us does this, but congratulations definitely to all our state champs. I'm sorry to hear that our librarian, Lawrence Marble, is going to be leaving us. He did a lot for the Garden City Library. He really brought us up to speed on many things, including the books that they can get for the e-readers. That was a huge one for many people. So I'm glad he's taking care of himself and going to a job that will be able to pay more, but I'm sorry to lose him in Garden City. And my sympathies also go out to Janine Hammond. It's hard to lose anybody in your family, let alone your sister, which means ages are similar, so it's really a rough time for her. Chief, thank you so much for giving me the information on Maplewood and Merriman, because I had several people ask me the very question, because being winter, they're tired of that corner being a skating pond if they don't think about it before they hit it, so thank you for that. And finally, I received notification today about a Downriver Karen Wellness free medical clinic. And this is for individuals without medical coverage. And the reason I bring this up is we know there are a lot of people without the coverage. And I had questions on the last one I did last week. So I want to bring these forward as I find out about it. It will be Saturday, February 23rd, 9:30 to 2 p.m. at Bethel Assembly of God in Lincoln Park. And these are services on this one for adults only. So, and it covers a vast gamut. If you're interested, you can contact me and I can give you more information, or you can contact, I'm sure, the Bethel Assembly of God, and they can tell you. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bettis?
I was asked by the representatives of Congressman Myers to invite all to a telephone town hall meeting on February 13th at 7 p.m. There's a call-in number, 855-246-7045, extension 20906 pound. And they would like all to participate with that. Also, I reported to the city manager, and for everyone else's knowledge, I do now have the packets available for anyone who is interested in being a candidate in the local elections, that is mayor and council, and those packets are available in the city clerk's office and are due by eligible candidates by May 14th.
Oh, my anniversary. It's my anniversary.
Oh. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kerwin?
Yes, Mayor, I think Mrs. Dodd, I don't mean to be redundant either, but congratulations to all the girls in the farm. And the death of Janine Hammond's sister and Chief Harmon's mother. It's sad, and I know there's been a lot of relatives around this place lost, and I don't think anybody wishes anything like that, but our prayers go out to them. Also, regarding Eagle Scout Brandon Lee Plond, I don't think I can direct our county commissioner, but I can sure ask him if he would make sure that he gets recognition from the county also. I think he should. Other than that, not just after what I've seen tonight, but I think a couple, 2 or 3 citizens have said over the last year or so, I'm not suggesting the entire council goes and gets drunk, but I think it would be a good idea to get together.
Amen.
I don't have any animosity to anyone here, but it may sound like it sometimes, and I don't necessarily agree with everybody all the time, but I don't have any hard feelings, and I think we should get together a little more often.
Socially, non-city business. That's
Right.
against the Open Meetings
Right.
Act.
Just socially.
We wouldn't think
We
of
can
discussing
break
anything.
bread.
As,
Yes, that
when we're
would probably be
having a
be
nice
good idea
repast with a little
for all of us. And,
beverage.
Other than that, that's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Mayor, I'm sorry, before you go ahead, I just do want to mention that in addition to the council and mayoral seats, we have a newly to be elected library board, and those petitions are also available with the same deadlines, and they're available in the clerk's office, and I just didn't want to forget that.
That's right.
And Mayor, I need to say just one more thing. I don't know Robert's wife, but if I could just suggest, because I can pretty much see where this is going, you have a very lovely neighbor. I'm not gonna say where, she's sitting on that side, on the next street, a few doors down. Better get that big hose out. That's all.
Mr. Better?
Yeah, a few things. I want to add to our list of prayers is Dan York, the head of our video department. His mother's gravely ill, so in your prayers include her. I'm sure he and his family would appreciate it. And for everybody who is wondering about what we've gotten so far on sewage, the second meter issue, you heard the acting city manager say they're going to do their best to have what we have so far, what we got in our packet put together for you to come by City Hall. Go by the water department and it should be on top, but don't come in at 9 o'clock, guys. They have meetings that last till 11 or 12, and then, so maybe start Wednesday, okay? Give them the break of a day, but they'll be here, and come by and get a copy for those of you that are interested. And of course, as you always do, feel free to contact any of us up here with your comments, concerns, questions, compliments, anything you have, okay? That's all I have here.
Thank you. Ms. Clark?
Yeah, just briefly, Commissioner, thank you for your office, the quick response to the questions that I had and something recently. Your staff is awesome, very, very awesome. And Chief, thank you for taking care of inquiries that I've had recently. My thoughts and prayers go out to Dan York and his family, and also to Janine. I've known her for quite some time.
She's wonderful.
She's not only an employee, she's a volunteer in the city, and she works with the Good Fellows. So that's what all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I too am going to echo prayers to Dan York on his mother, speedy recovery hopefully, and to Janine on the loss of her sister, and Chief Harmon on the loss of her mother. Our prayers are with all of you. Now on the happy note, congratulations to Brandon making Eagle Scout, and to the Pom Pom girls. They're putting Garden City on the map. Different cities are known for different things. I know the city of Tecumseh is known for turning out a lot of wrestlers that make it all the way to the state level. A lot of state championship wrestlers come out of Tecumseh. Well, I can tell you, Garden City's on the map now. If you want a state champion pom-poms, it's Garden City. So That's fantastic that our city's gonna be known year after year to keep putting out state champions. So that's awesome.
If they got somebody in line to take over for the
We are gonna get into this water rates and the second meter. I've had talks with the city manager this week. We gotta dig in and get into it. We definitely owe the residents some answers, and we gotta look into it. We gotta look into it hard. Before I close out, did you want to say something? Mr. LeBlanc? Yeah, I seen you were waving at me. Wayne County Commissioner Richard LeBlanc. Before I close the meeting out, go ahead.
Thank you. I wasn't shaking my fist either. I was waving, just to clarify. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to say that I really appreciate that your community, as with the others that I also represent, is very attentive to those who have high achievement in various ways. And certainly we wish to recognize that. So, during my service as a school board member, a councilman, and most especially as a state representative, we had access to information in different ways. And one of the questions that I'm curious about, because we've done outreach with communities, if there is a central calendar where these types of things are recognized formally, I mean, I'd really like to become aware of it, because those of you that are on this council, or I should say most of you, if not all of you, have received communication from me for some time. I mean, it's a practice. I can tell you that I've been pleased and honored to recognize probably about 20 Eagle Scouts over the past 20 years. It's a big deal. I would like to read you a text message that I received a couple of days ago. Now this came from your state representative, David Kniezek, and it said, by the way, if you haven't heard yet, Garden City Middle School and Garden City High School were both the state champs at Pom Pom this weekend. I'm going to work up a tribute. We'll get the information to you as well. The 11th district only accepts winners, baby. Now, that's what he said. And that was yesterday. So, we do coordinate amongst other politicians to try to provide reasonable and appropriate recognition. Any help, and I appreciate what I learned here today, because I was typing notes into the calendar as folks were speaking. Any help that we can get from you to provide additional recognition and recommendation, I am all about that. I mean, I really enjoy doing that. And I'll conclude, Mayor, by thanking the Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for mentioning that. I know when things like that come from other electeds and high appointeds within state government, rather within state and local government, I've asked staff, look, call me first, let me know what's going on after you've already done the initial thing, and then get to work on it. I was a little surprised that one was as easily achieved as it was.
I know, I was too, and so fast. Your staff was so fast.
So if you don't mind, I will share that in the morning, and I do appreciate you, sincerely appreciate that you said that. Thank you.
What's your email so we can send you off the information?
Oh, okay. So my new office email is District 12.
Spelled out?
DISTRI.
No, I just mean because some lose district. Just number 12.
At co.wayne.mi.us. And look, I'll tell you, for those who may be at home or in the audience and couldn't get that, I'll just tell you that if you Google, Wayne County Government or Wayne County Commission, you'll find it. My personal information, my home telephone number has been listed for 35 years. If you use my name, Richard LeBlanc, if you put a .com or a .net on the end of it, I own both of those websites. You can contact me via email. And I live in a fishbowl that's about 2 miles from here on a main corner. So I'm easy to find. And again, if it's one of those meetings where myself or a staff member is not able to be present, we would really appreciate that email message or a telephone call so that we can join you regarding these other folks. So thank you.
Thank you. No further business. This meeting's adjourned.